That's good enough for me. Alrighty, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 298 of the KBMOD podcast. It is October 29th, 2017. And man, beyond the fact that we're closing in on 300 goddamn episodes of this show, what am I doing with my life? Yeah. The fact it's Halloween season, folks. You know, it's spooky time. Anybody done anything exciting for Halloween yet, or in preparation for it?
We did a little like get together today where Hillary and some friends carved pumpkins. I just sat and watched them carve pumpkins, but
yeah.
But yeah,
you're not a carver yourself.
Not really.
Yeah,
it's I'm not very artistic, and so I was just there enjoying the company. Let other people.
I'm geared towards tistic, a different word. I'm definitely not artistic. So I'm with you on that too. Tistic. It ends with tistic, but
like if you say artistic with an accent, that's the word.
It could definitely, yeah, definitely. I'm geared more towards that, so I'm with you too, Brandon. Because like even Tab, she's like a lot more artistic than me. So she likes to. One time we went to this wine place where you could like drink wine and then paint like mugs and all different kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Supposed to be like a cute artsy thing. And we both painted these glass mugs, and mine looks like a 2-year-old got a hold of a paintbrush and just started like wailing at it, and hers
was like a children's art project. And
yeah, exactly. And I could tell like the woman, like she was supervising, she came over and she looked at mine, she's like, oh, what are we doing over here? And it was so condescending, and I was like, this is why I don't do this
like
stuff.
Oh, is your child in the restroom? Or that's Scott's. Oh,
exactly. Yeah, that's how it felt. And I was like, yeah, this is why I don't do this stuff. It's still fun once in a while, but I definitely am with you. What about you, Ben or Katie? You guys like carving pumpkins? You guys? I mean, Ben, you're artistic, so you can't.
We should maybe introduce our guest, Scott. As you typically
I think it's better to do it this way, so people are just like, oh, what? Wait, who's this voice? No, I should introduce. We've got a very long time KBMOD community member and game developer, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But Benjamin Basic, or Ben Basic, is joining us today on the podcast. So thank you for being here, Ben. Yes. What's up, buddy?
But for the Halloween related stuff, you would think that I'd be good at carving pumpkins, but I'm actually like really shit at it. Like I can't even do like the smiles. Like I'm awful.
I feel you on that.
Like I can draw stuff, but like when it comes to anything in like a 3D space, I'm like a 3-year-old. It's the worst.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
I've only even carved pumpkins one time, and that was last year. So I'm not really experienced.
I feel like you could draw the stencil like on a piece of paper, and then have someone else actually carve the pumpkin for you.
Actually do the technical.
That I actually definitely could do, because I tried drawing some for Halloween last year, and the stencil was alright, but once it came to putting the knife in, I was just it was awful. It's like my first time even carving a pumpkin or emptying one, so I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was also using like, I don't know, like something that was like a butter knife or something. I don't even know what it was because I wasn't
not using things. The right tools for the job. Yeah. I'm prone to doing stuff like that too, where people are like, you're not even using sharp enough tools. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this at all. I just want to get over. Can't you tell from my pumpkin and my glass? Like
you kind of have to have particular tools for it. Like Hillary bought a $10 kit that has like the little serrated knives that you use for cutting pumpkins, and like little shovels for shoveling out the seeds and everything. And you wouldn't think that matters that much, but I think it actually, even though they're little cheap tools, it does seem like not having those would make it way more difficult.
Oh yeah, it definitely does, as I found out.
Yeah. Katie, it's your
time I ever participate in like jack-o'-lanterns or anything is when I'm forced to, like out of social obligation. I mean, I think they're really cool, but like I just suck at them. I was gonna say we missed a golden opportunity. We should have done this cast in costume for Halloween.
That's true. That's true. That would also require more effort than I'm willing to give any holidays. I'm such a even Christmas and stuff. Like I don't really enjoy. I like Thanksgiving because I get to eat. What shocker, right? Because it's like, that's a really American holiday. I like the food around holidays. I don't enjoy any of the other stuff. Like Christmas is okay, But like my brother, I think I've told this before. My brother would listen to Christmas music. He's one of those people that would listen to it year round. He's like one of those people. And so like as soon as we even start to approach the season, like he's probably already been listening to Christmas music for like a month. And it drives me nuts. And he just loves everything about the season. To put this in perspective, it was his birthday recently. And half of the gifts he received were nativity scenes, like really like intricate, detailed nativity scenes because he collects them. So that's the level of fandom I'm dealing with when it comes to my family with Christmas. And I'm like so the other way.
I was gonna say there's listens to Christmas music throughout the year, and there's people give me nativity scenes for my birthday.
Right.
I feel like those are like slightly different places on the spectrum.
Are they? Because I think if I catch you listening to Christmas music year round, I'm gonna be like, all right,
that's true. That's true. But like when it's part of your identity to the point where people are gifting you like Christmas related things for your birthday. That's
true.
That feels like it's a level above.
Right.
Yeah, no, agreed. It was definitely shocking. This was the first year that he made it known that he was collecting these. So he's definitely, I don't know, maybe an intervention is, but I think we bought him something Christmas related too. So I don't think we weren't really helping in that case. But are you guys like holiday people though? Do you guys do you guys enjoy like Halloween? Do you like dressing up? Do you like the whole season?
I don't think this comes as much of a surprise that I don't typically dress up for Halloween.
Right.
But I do enjoy I enjoy it in that I think it's fun to be it's like fun to have when kids are going around and they're trick-or-treating and stuff. Like when I've been at home at my parents' house, kids used to trick-or-treat in that neighborhood. And that was fun. It's fun to be part of it and feel like you're kind of part of your local community. But I was never huge on like actually dressing up and trick-or-treating even when I was younger.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't have any problem with people. Nick pointing out in chat that I went to Escape for Halloween, which is a music festival, like EDM music festival, and I went as a ghoul. I got the most generic costume. It was like just a black costume with like I don't even know what it was supposed to be, a ghoul, I guess, as Nick's saying. It was just so generic, and I just wore that. And people are like, "What are you supposed to be?" I'm like, I don't fucking know. I bought it for like $5 at Target. But I appreciate the passion that other people put into it. I like seeing that. It's just never going to be me. I'm just never going to be that guy.
See, what you should have done is you should have got like a bed sheet and just put it over your head with some eyes in it. That would have kicked ass.
What about you, Ben or Katie? You guys like Halloween holidays in general? Fans?
For Halloween, like I like the mood it sets. Like I like watching, the scary movies and whatnot, and like kind of like, I guess for lack of a better word, like the aesthetic of the holiday. But I've never really been much of a good like costume person. Like anytime I try to dress up as anything, it just turns out awful. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like it's just the worst. Like I remember trying to go as Jack Skellington one year, and it was like, ugh, I don't even want to look at the pictures of that.
Oh no.
I'm just cool to like stick around and watch the movies and whatnot. But beyond that, I'm not really good at the whole Halloween thing.
KD?
Yeah, I mean, definitely not trick-or-treating anymore, unfortunately. But
really? See, I'm shocked that you're not trick-or-treating anymore. I would have pegged you to still be trick-or-treating.
I mean, yeah. If only, I could have been younger. But I have been to a couple of Halloween parties, and they have both not been too good. And they're pretty. The costume I picked for the party, it was terrible. I made a critical error and spent way too much money at Spirit on a costume. Let's not talk about the price.
Oh, okay. Hold on. No. You can't skip over this. What was the costume? And how?
Yeah. It was. I got one of those bananas. It was full like banana that you put on, like from
the banana man.
The banana man thing, and then the ends across, and then I had like a sheriff badge on, and like a Dr. Disrespect style mustache and sunglasses. I was like banana cop. It was so bad. And everyone's like,
"How much was
what the fuck are you?" I'm banana cop.
Oh my god!
It's terrible.
How much did you end up spending on that costume for people to then shit on it because they didn't know what it was?
Oh, listen, dude, it's not worth it.
Go ahead. Give me. Okay, I'll ballpark you. Was it like? Are we talking like above $50?
It was 50 for the entire ensemble.
Okay. I mean,
which I bought a lot of points.
Okay,
that's like okay.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble that didn't pay off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I had just gotten put it on for the cast, I could wear the banana on cat. No, but just the banana itself was 30, and then it was just all the extra shit that I just didn't understand, like how much I was spending. It was the glasses that I could have bought so much cheaper somewhere else. Thank God, there's not a single picture that exists of that.
Oh, I love you so much.
I like that you had, like, if I'm just thinking about going through this in your mind. Like, you bought the banana costume, and then you think, wait a minute, this isn't quite enough. Like, this is not going to do it. Banana Man, this is pedestrian stuff. This is children's stuff.
Yeah.
So you put on, like, Dr. Disrespect glasses and a sheriff's badge. You think, this is the level of quality I'm going for, Banana Cop.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking elevated Banana Man, because, in the off chance there's another Banana Man there, I wouldn't want to.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you wanted to separate yourself.
Yeah, you don't want someone else to show up in the same costume, because then both of you are going to be embarrassed.
I just love the idea though. Like, you spent the money, like you put this on. You're like, this is definitely. Even though I don't understand this, you're kind of like, I don't know why I'm doing all this. It's like it's going to separate me from the back, and then people just walk up to it and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
What's really shitty is it's one of those parties where half the people didn't even dress up.
Right. It's like you made the effort.
All these people in just casual clothing, and then you have odd man in banana outfit. And it was bad. But the stories don't end there.
Okay.
So it was 2 parties back to back. The first one wasn't too bad. Ended up staying the night because I wasn't able to get home, which wasn't, not too bad.
My man stayed the night.
Well, no.
Is it
on myself. Yeah, this is the one I was tweeting about. Yeah, it was.
No.
So let me describe the mood. It's like 4 a.m. and there's this dick, like throughout the entire party, throwing off fuckboy vibes. He like everybody would be finally trying to get some sleep, and he would just turn on the speaker and start playing shitty music. And like, despite all of our pleas to ask him to stop, he's not turning off the music. And so here's the setup. I'm on the floor. I'm sleeping on the floor. And across the room, there are 2 couches. One couch, there is a man snuggling a woman. And on the other one is that guy, the fuckboy, the other couch. And I witnessed the cuckening. I witnessed the cuckening live. I was, at some point, the guy who was cuddling with the girl, he got up and went to the bathroom. The fuckboy, he jumps up and gets on top of that girl and starts cuddling her. And I listen close and I hear him saying, like, how's this for you? He like this? And I'm watching this like, oh my God.
Yes.
It was so weird. And she didn't say shit. She just went with it. And it was heartbreaking when the guy came back from the bathroom.
Yeah.
Walk in and just look. And he walked over.
I'm no longer the top dog and had to leave. Oh man.
Yeah, he got alphaed. He walked over and slept on the floor next to me. I was like,
really hard for that dude to let that happen.
I bet that was the lowest moment of that dude's life. He had to lay next to a banana sheriff after his girl was stolen from him. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah,
I feel for that guy.
Tragic. But yeah. And then I ended up drinking a bit too much in that party. And so I wasn't really feeling the one after that, and I was just going to stay home.
Right.
But I was feeling the next party more because the first one was like just a bunch of people getting wasted, and that kind of thing doesn't really like appeal to me that much. The second party was going to be with a bunch of people I've known since high school, who I would assume would be like kind of more of a laid back kind of affair. But I didn't go to it. I wasn't feeling well. And so my brother goes, and he's going with this girl who is like just a friend. And they're going there, and there are fucking 14-year-olds and up drinking at that party.
Oh, wow.
And the host of the party is like encouraging them to drink, and just like, and their parents were there too, getting drunk with them. It sounded like the most hillbilly shit.
Yeah.
And Dodged the bullet by not going to that one. That just sounded like a terrible time.
Good Lord.
So
wait, did you? So with your
party with 14-year-olds?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't go to that one. No.
Wait, so did you? So also, not to keep harping on this costume, but this costume that you got,
just can't let it go.
Did you purchase? Is it like purchased or was it rented? Like you have it?
It's purchased.
Oh, okay. So you
okay?
It,
so
gotcha. All right.
This is going to be the next 10 years. I'm locked in for that money I spent. So
I'd say it's worth every penny.
I was going to say, if you can be Banana Cop for every Halloween for the next 10 years, I mean, that's $5 per Halloween, man. You're getting your money's worth.
Not too bad. Yeah. Could be worse.
There you go. Right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was...
Maybe in the next 2 days, Halloween will turn around. Not too good so far.
Not good so far.
You've all of a sudden made me feel much better about my lack of plans for Halloween.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad I could improve your life.
You definitely did. But, all right. Well, so that's a little bit. Well, that was perfect because we're going to segue in a little bit about what we've been doing this week. And so, KD, I think you definitely went. Any Brandon, Ben? We were talking a little bit in the pre-show. Ben, you had quite a day with getting back home because you weren't sure if you were actually going to be able to be here.
Basically what happened is my car was having trouble starting, like it just wouldn't turn on at all. So I was sort of freaking out because I thought I had to get the alternator replaced because that's like an expensive affair. I genuinely do not have the money for that sort of a repair job right now. And it turned out that the AAA guy, when he came, it was just like the cable was so shitty with its connection that like all you had to do was poke it and it came off. Because my mechanic is such a fucking dickhead that like he just hand tightened it. He didn't use like a clamp or like anything. And like also in the midst of that, he left a screwdriver in my hood.
A screwdriver. Yeah, that was my favorite part. Is that he found the
AAA guy's just like, oh, here's a screwdriver. Here you go. I was just like, all right.
Like best part. My favorite part about Ben telling this in the pre-show though was I was like, I think it's time to get him a new mechanic. And Ben was like, well, this guy's like really cheap, so I don't really mind. I was like, but Ben, like that's like a basic job and he fucked it up. Like,
I mean, dude, like, okay, like here's the thing. Like there's two places, there's like two main places that like I consider I can get a repair where I live. There's the Canadian Tire where like they will upsell you like 5 times the price and will lie about half the things that are wrong with it. Or I go to this guy who my dad knows, and he's like, yeah, I'll fix your car, but it'll take me a month to do a basic repair job, and you know it'll cost like a quarter of the price, but like you won't have a car for a month. Like you just have to wait for it. Like you can't.
I see. So your options are limited, basically.
Yeah, like you'll tell them, hey man, I need this fast. I need this as soon as possible. Be like, yeah, all right, I'll do it fast, and like it'll be like 2 months later. It's like, all right, like here you go. Like, dude, where were you? Like I'll have to like drive over to the mechanic shop, like knock at the garage door just to see if he's even there. And a lot of the time he isn't. He's just like around somewhere else doing something that doesn't involve repairing my fucking car. Like that's all I know.
Wow. All right. Well, at least it was just a AAA little fix there and a Titan. That's good.
Yeah, a real lifesaver. Because I was kind of worried I'd have to pay like $1,000 to tow my car back into my country.
Oh God.
Leaving a screwdriver in your car, it's kind of like a surgeon, leaving forceps after he's sewn you back up. He's like, how does that happen?
Yeah, I know. It's like, dude, like, how do you leave that there? Like, what? Yeah, I'm surprised that like it didn't cause any problems. And the same thing with like the hand tightened fucking connector. I took that thing in like 3 months ago, and like this is the first time I even had a problem. So I mean, I guess it did the job. I guess.
Living on the edge there.
You are.
Well, I try my best.
Are you going to mention this to your dude so that maybe you get a free repair or two after?
Well, dude, he doesn't do free repairs. He's like, are you kidding me? Like, how do you charge you like a quarter of the price? What else do you want from me?
You should just
this guy's
keep
like,
the
okay, like to keep the characterization of this guy, he's like an old school Slavic man who's like he's more manly than like anybody I've ever known. So me being like, hey, you left a screwdriver in my car, he's gonna be like, fuck off. Like, piss off, kid.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just gonna be like, all right, I have like 100 more cars to fix.
Well, at the very least, you got a souvenir you can keep now. You know, you got a screwdriver.
Yeah, I
And,
mean,
you
I
know,
did get a
so-
screwdriver, so I mean, if I ever need one, it's in my
Build up,
backseat.
you can build up a tool chest as you keep getting your car repaired.
Eventually, I'll have a whole goddamn fucking like a warehouse full of tools.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad you made it back. That's good. Glad you're able to be on the
Thank
cast.
you. I'm glad to
Yeah.
be back. I like not being stranded in another country.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
It's
Good
always
times.
nice.
So I was Brandon. I was thinking about like, oh, we didn't have a podcast last week. What have we been doing this week? And I was like, oh, we were at TwitchCon. I totally forgot about that. I've already forgot. But yeah. So Brandon, how was your TwitchCon experience overall? We can talk about it. In this.
I mean, it was great. It's an awesome event every year. Mine was very busy because I was working a lot of the show, so I didn't really get a chance to stop and sort of appreciate much of it because that's just how that weekend goes. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. First time going to Long Beach. I must say the cell service in Long Beach, utter garbage. Utter garbage.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand how. Long Beach is basically part of the Los Angeles Metroplex. You would think there would be cell towers all over LA.
Good think.
But wow, Long Beach's cell service, at least for AT&T, was just terrible. So that was like one thing I didn't expect.
So I actually have to. This is one of the few times. I mean, so it was definitely spotty in some spots, but I had Verizon, and for the most part, I would at the very least I was able to get like text and stuff like that. Data was sometimes a little slow and stuff like that, but actually, yeah, Verizon was pretty solid. I did hear the AT&T Sprint and stuff like that was destroyed.
I think I'm just
people,
now.
so.
I'm so like we're so spoiled now because even just a few years ago, anytime you would go to a sports game or a convention or anything, none of the cell phones would work. Like you would not get any data through. Right, trying to browse Twitter or post a picture, like forget it.
So bugged,
but now everything has gotten, it's gotten to the point where when you go to something like PAX and, like a lot of the cell service actually works kind of well during the convention. And so I forgot what it's like to just be more or less out of touch, when, especially in the convention center. And then like afterward getting dozens of texts, when you walk out of the convention center. So it was like hearkening back to a few years ago when that was the norm. But yeah, it was a really fun weekend. I just wish it could be longer. Lots of awesome people. Got to see Scott. Got to see Timmy. Got to see several other like KBMOD folks, KBMOD community members, but I didn't get to see Yangity Yang.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I didn't. I found out that after the fact. I was like, we were running into you just randomly all over the place. I know. And it was like you never ran into Yang.
I know. I don't know how. I think he must have been dodging me. That's all I can figure because I saw a lot of people there. Even if it was only very quickly, quick say hello or whatever. Like I tried to see as many people as I could, and I would have noticed Yang. He was not anywhere near me at any point during the convention.
Damn.
So
that's grounds for a ruined TwitchCon right there.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely disappointed. But you know what? I was easy to find. So all I can assume is that Ying had, there's something below the surface that Ying's not telling me.
I mean, coincidentally as well, not on the podcast tonight. Where
coincidentally, last second cancellation.
I don't know. We'll have to find out when Ying's on the podcast again if he indeed is.
See, he's too nice to say anything. So if there was an issue like this, he would never bring it up.
Nope. That's a great point. But I echo. It was a really good event. This year I think it was like, I don't know how many total people from my chat, like from my community went. I think it was like 16 or 17 people total. From my community went, and it was so cool. Yeah, it was such a fun time, like hanging out, seeing everybody. We had a pretty big at one point. So I was playing Lawbreakers on the esports stage for one.
Tell me how that went.
It actually was the actual playing the game was a lot of fun. At one point, it was a BO3, and it was a bunch of streamers, and our side of the stage, it was like 1-3 in the first game. All of a sudden, our side of the stage goes completely black. All of our PCs turn off. Everything turns off. And we're like, what? And they just keep playing. They just keep playing the game. And they obviously the other team wins. Apparently, I heard in the crowd that one of the few times they cut to me was when all of our computer stuff went out, and my character was just obviously lagged out and running into the wall over and over again. No. And then they took that match, and then they said that we rage quit on the stream. The announcer, I was like, oh, what? Anyway, whatever. Yeah, that happened. And then the second game, we came back and actually won. And then the third game was actually really close. We ended up losing by a little bit, but I had like a really nice quad feed, and I was actually playing pretty well, all things considered. And Timmy was saying at one point, because of the spectating, he was like, he noticed I got a quad, and of course I was like, oh, their cameras are going to be on me. This is going to be so sick. And Timmy's like, yeah, we have no fucking idea what was happening. The cameras were definitely not on you. So, but no, it was okay. But I say all that to. There was a Nexon after party for that, and one of the community members from Lawbreakers, one of my friends, Alyssa, was saying, she said, if you want to come to the after party, bring as many people as you want. And I was like, I don't know if this is actually. I was like, I have like 17 people with me. Will that be cool? And she was like, yeah, bring them all. And so she was cool, and she let everybody from that came from my chat in the party as well, which was really cool, which was neat. So that was kind of fun to be able to do that and hang out. And that was a kind of a chill little shindig to go to. But yeah, it was just cool hanging out, and I didn't have too many like responsibilities, so it was just a lot of social time, which was really good. Which I think TwitchCon kind of is. I think it's a lot more geared towards that. If you want it to be that, like depending on how you want to set it up, and also like I was saying too, if you just want to see a ton of people, if you watch a lot of Twitch, or there's really not like going to PAX and stuff like that. You might run into a few of them, but you're not going to run into that many people just like walking through the expo hall and be like, hey, right. I know that person, this person.
It's so many chance meetings because they're just, it's like the largest concentration of people in and around the Twitch community. So it's like, I mean, it's perfect for someone like you, someone like me. You know, I watch a lot of Twitch. I know streamers, you have, people from your community. Like it's just if you're ingrained in Twitch, there's no better place to go, because you can go there for business, you can go there for pleasure, like you can do paid stuff, you can just see people, and it keeps getting bigger every year. So it's like I don't even know what next year will be like, because this year was bigger than last year, and it's like we had the whole Long Beach Convention Center. And there was like one of the new things this year. So last year we had a creative corner, where people like artists who broadcast creative stuff were showing off their stuff. But this year that kind of got expanded, and the like creative channels actually had their like booths set up where they were like selling things, kind of doing commissions. So that was all really neat, because people could actually like buy stuff from artists that broadcast on Twitch, which I thought was really cool, because that's not really why I typically go to conventions, but I know a lot of people do like to go to conventions for to buy merch, or to buy to buy stuff, to buy things that you can't really find elsewhere. So so I thought that was really cool. There were a lot of new additions this year that were really, really neat. Yeah.
It was definitely bigger than last year, just as far as stuff to be able to do beyond just like the panels and even like the H1, which I've had in the past at other. Well, was that the first year? Was H1 Invitation? Did they have that last year?
They had it last year, but this year they had like a whole arena thing that was pretty wild.
The arena was pretty crazy. Yeah, and that was
amazing.
Yeah, that was definitely fun in person to go and like as a break, and then of course we were cheering our boy Incredible Orban, who almost took the first game in the All-Star Invitational against Sandy Ravage, man, and it was so close. So it was fun, like watching a bunch of people that were our friends playing in that, and yeah, overall the whole thing was like it was just a really good experience. Like I said, I don't know what you guys are gonna do next. Like you can't really, like, it was bigger than last year, and it wasn't to the levels of crowded of like, it still wasn't like a PAX or like a Comic-Con level of like, okay, I can't move because the crowds are so crazy. Like it was still like relatively
it was manageable, but it was pretty cool.
Manageable, but it was but so I'm like, next year I feel like you're going to be in that territory where it's like, okay, how do we deal with even more of an influx? It's like, I don't know what you do really. Like can you even get to a place really bigger? I mean, Long Beach was pretty big. It was a pretty big convention center.
I'm not sure that like
I don't even
I think
know.
that's the hard part is managing the space, and that was one of the reasons we've kept moving it around and went to Long Beach in the first place, because the whole convention center's like got a pretty good setup.
Yeah, it's huge.
But we were pretty much taking up the whole thing. So there's not a whole lot of room to expand if we keep growing. So, so yeah, I don't know what next year will look like, but we'll see KD there, right?
We will,
absolutely,
right, KD?
yeah,
next
100%, definitely.
All right, I'm excited.
The only place he can wear his anime shirts and feel normal.
Right, exactly. Finally, people that know me accept me.
Right.
But no, yeah, I mean, I was thinking, like, when TwitchCon happened last year, just looking at, how much of a success it was, thinking, oh, well, this will, like, in the back of my mind is like, is this really going to be a more than 1 year thing? But after seeing it this year, I'm so convinced. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
Awesome.
So yeah, so that was good. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we've been playing here. Who wants to start? Anybody got any? You know what, Brandon? How about you start? Because I think I have an inkling that you've been playing a new game called Destiny 2. Well, new game in quotations.
Maybe.
That just came out for PC. Is that true?
I wonder where you would have gotten that inclination.
I don't know. Heard that through the grapevine, I think. But
yeah. So I've that's pretty much all I've played this week, really. Got into Destiny, so it launched earlier this week on PC, and so I started playing it. I haven't played it as much as some other people have. I mean, some people have been grinding it out, but I've put in quite a few hours already, and man, I have a lot of thoughts. The first thing that stands out to me is the game just looks beautiful. Like it is a good looking game, and it's it's like it definitely when you're comparing it to something like PUBG. I've been playing a lot of PUBG. Like Destiny, it just feels so smooth. Like the experience is smooth. I turn everything to highest settings. Like it is a gorgeous looking game. I think they do a really good job of like it's kind of an open world game a little bit, I guess, but it's not really open world in that, like, you're seeing these crazy skylines of planets out in the out in the world, and you're seeing a lot of stuff that you can't actually go to. But they do a great job of making that world feel so huge, even though it's actually like kind of linear in certain parts. There's only so many places you can go. Right. But it is a beautiful looking game. I mean, honestly, just booting it up and kind of staring out into space, it's such a pretty game. So I think
it runs. It's just so well optimized.
Yeah,
it runs zero.
Yeah, it's got. I think
cranked up.
I can't prove any of this, but like the fact that it's part of BattleNet, I feel like really there's this sense that like it has to perform well. It has to feel very polished. Not that Destiny on console doesn't feel polished, but like I feel like the BattleNet name being tied into that, like if it's going to be on BattleNet, it's got to be pretty much perfect. And right. I think so far I think they've nailed that. Like I haven't had a single crash. Everything has worked really nicely. So from that end, what I think pretty well done. Like they haven't, from what I can tell, they haven't had server issues. They haven't had the stuff that gets in the way of your experience. So hats off to them, because I feel like it's very easy to just ignore that like the launch seemed to go great, and no one's had issues. But I think we should call that out in 2017, because that's not always the norm.
No, not the norm at all.
Now that being said, like, so I've gotten through, the campaign, which is kind of whatever. Like, if you want to pay attention to the story, fine. But the story, I don't know, it didn't really resonate with me. The missions were fun. The gunplay is great. The only thing that has been a little bit frustrating to me is that there is like, if you want to get into kind of the later stage stuff, the end game type stuff, there is a right and a wrong way to play the game. And that is not apparent at all to a player who is not scouring the subreddit or reading news articles. There are all these little things that are basically one-way doors. So like, to give you an example, when you finish the campaign, one of the last guys gives you an exotic engram. And that exotic engrams are basically kind of like a sort of a loot box for a piece of gear. And you get that, right? And when you accept the quest, or like when you accept the reward, it ties it to the current level you're at. And so you want to get to high light level. So 265 is like, that's pretty high. That's, I think, the soft cap right now. But you start, when you hit level 20, I was at like 200 or 210. Okay, so I'm trying to find out, okay, so what's next? How do I get to these higher light levels? And I learned after the fact on my character that I wasn't supposed to accept this reward I got at the end of the campaign, because it scales to my current level, and I want to hit the soft cap of 265 before I accept this reward, because then that reward will put me over the soft cap. And like all these little examples, like turning in reputation rewards. It's like, oh, I actually wasn't supposed to do that. I was supposed to farm these events and then turn in my reputation later, because that's the only way I can get this high level gear. And I basically heard all this stuff after the fact that I'm like, why would they make all of these things where it's like, it's really unclear how you can maximize your progression in the game, and there's like not enough of that stuff to fill in. There's like 2 or 3 little things where if you accept the reward or whatever, it's done. It's literally done. You can't go back and redo it. So your only choice at that point is to make an alternate character after you've read all the subreddits and everything, and do it again in the optimal way. So that's the one thing that has been frustrating to me, is I feel like for as polished as it is, it is not a game that feels friendly to the player who wants to just play it and wants to but wants to get to the same level as his friends, wants to do the raids, wants to do the high level stuff. Like I'm only at like 230 or 40 light level, and I've put in more hours than a lot of people who have been grinding have put in on their alts, and they're already at this soft cap of like 265 or 270. And I'm like, I literally don't know how they were able to do that unless they were doing these silly like min-max type things during the campaign. Right. So I guess it's, if you're a more casual player, maybe the idea is you shouldn't even care about that. Like, just play the game and enjoy it. But as someone who, like, I wanted to enjoy my first run through it without reading strategy guides, without reading Reddit posts, like I just wanted to enjoy the game. But I discovered after the fact that I made all of these like quote unquote mistakes. For once I got to the end game stuff, I'm now at a disadvantage. So that's
a perfect example of sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say you're a perfect example of somebody that's like, you've played WoW, you've played Diablo, like you've gone the diehard route. Like you could do that if you wanted to, and you're not like somebody but you're also not you're also playing it moderately casually the first time.
But through, the thing is, my issue is none of this is remotely apparent within the game.
And
it's these one-way doors, right? Once you've accepted the reward for this one quest, you can't go back and change it. And so that's my issue, is that like, how would a normal player know to do any of these things that, like, among the hardcore players who are sitting on Reddit all day reading everything, like among the hardcore players, this is all super obvious. But to a new player who isn't looking to, to spend all day on Reddit, how would they ever know to do this stuff? And so I think it's kind of impenetrable for a new player. Anyway, that's
it's genuinely surprising that a game that big, especially with a game that it's a sequel to, Destiny 1, obviously. So it's kind of surprising that they don't know that players would want to do something like that and want to be informed on how they can level properly like that. I don't know. It seems like a pretty massive oversight on their end, because obviously, like, the average person playing the game isn't going to want to check into all that stuff. Like, you should make it so it's enjoyable and everyone can get the most out of it regardless,
And I think it's mostly, like, I think there are ways to solve that problem, and they're part of the company that, like, has the most knowledge about how to solve these problems. Like, you can literally talk to the people that make World of Warcraft and understand how you make something that can try and appeal to, like, the hardcore players and appeal to more casual players. And the way that WoW sort of gets it is they have just a plethora of things to do. Like if you level in one area and you run out of quests or whatever, you can go to another area. Like it's rare that you're running out of things to do to keep leveling up and keep that feeling of progression. I think with Destiny 2, and I've heard this a little bit from people who have played on console, but there's like not a ton of stuff to do. And that's maybe the more damning part of this is like there's only these 1 or 2 quests that give me meaningfully better gear, like guaranteed meaningfully better gear than what I have now. And if I accidentally turn those quests in, then I'm out of things to do except for grinding world public events, which is like kind of fun, but is not what the game is about. That can't be what the dev team has in mind, is for people to just be grinding these public events. So I mean, I don't know. It's for everything else it does really right. It's like I think they're lacking content, or they're like there's just not a great there's not a great ladder from being someone who finishes the campaign, hits level 20, and then wants to start experience more in-game stuff. There's basically just a huge amount of like grinding in between that I think isn't very fun. And I think they could have made that progression a lot better. And part of it would have been like any game where I have to know to not turn in a quest, because that's not a good idea yet. Like literally not turning in a quest yet because I'm not a high enough level. That's bad design. Like in 2017, that is bad design. I should never have to know to not turn something in yet. Like you should be giving me those cues in game.
Right, or it could even just give you a cue, be like, hey, you can turn this in now, or you could wait until you're higher level. I mean, even just that nod, you know what I mean? I know that, I don't know, that doesn't seem like too much of an ask to say.
I think it's just like I'm a little, I don't want to start another character just to fix these little mistakes I made along the way with my gearing. And I don't think you can expect, like, players are just going to be dissatisfied with something like that. They're gonna resent the fact that you didn't tell them that they shouldn't have turned this thing in. Like, it's just not a very satisfying game experience when I have to ask someone else who's playing, should I turn this in yet? And when they say no, hold on to it. I'm like, what? Why? Like, why would they give me a quest that they don't want me to complete yet? But anyway, I mean, all else, like, that is, I think, actually, it is a big deal to someone who wants to end up being a little more hardcore. But like, the game itself is really good, and I've already gotten what 25 hours out of it. So you know, like I'm one of those people who, like, I'm writing a Steam review after I've already gotten my money's worth, and I'm like, oh, I'm nitpicking all these little things. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's just a surprising thing to me that this is their second game, and I feel like with their first game they have the WoW devs they could talk to. They've already done one of these games before. Like, it just feels like something that should be a little bit smoother progression at this point for Destiny. But it is still a very fun game, and I've already gotten my money's worth out of it. So at the end of the day, like, I would still recommend it, but also I would now have to recommend it with the caveat of, hey, like, if you're thinking about doing the end game stuff, you should probably read, you know, these Reddit posts before you play the game, because don't do what I did and enjoy the game. Like, God forbid, don't enjoy the game your first time through, because you will regret it when you get to the end game.
If you want to, if you care about, like, the max, like, staying with the max level, or
exactly,
optimizing the time that you put into it.
If you care about keeping up with the Joneses, like keeping up with your friends, then you're going to want to read this stuff beforehand and, like, play the game a certain way that sets you up right for end game. And, you know, I didn't do that. But also, you know, I guess in a week or 2 or 3 or whatever, like, it won't matter as much, because they'll kind of, the power will shift a little bit, and they'll release the raid, and, like, there will be new ways to get higher level gear. But it's just one of those things that I thought would be better, and I'm surprised they didn't try and smooth that out before it released.
Yeah, that's odd, because something like that could honestly just be fixed with something as simple like a tutorial text or something in the UI to explain it. Like if you hover over the loot box, just mentioning somewhere in the description that it's like based towards your level or something.
Yeah.
Like that's something that you can add in like a few minutes. So
yeah, you're making a game, Ben. I'm sure. Like this.
Yeah.
Am I right that this doesn't sound like a very difficult problem to fix?
Yeah, it's not even just not something that's difficult to fix. It's just sort of bad game design. You shouldn't reward a player with something that they can't immediately see the result of. You know, it's sort of discouraging for them to see, oh, I earned something, but I can't reap my rewards yet. Like that's not really fun for a player to experience. You know, like your whole idea is to make a satisfying game loop, and that just kind of discourages people from wanting to do that sort of content. You know.
Yeah. I think that's basically my gripe. Is the game loop once you hit level 20 is like you can end up finding out that you shouldn't have done things that you've already done, and you can't go back and change them. And so that's a little bit frustrating for someone who wants to then start playing with friends who are higher level, but has to just sit here grinding lower level stuff. And they
like,
sort of
a mistake like that, something that's so easy to fix, can lead to someone losing many hours of what they would deem rewarding gameplay. You know, like say for example, might not be a big deal to people like us that have like some extra time to play and put that extra time into that sort of stuff. But say someone has like maybe 2 hours a week that they can spend into that game, like that kind of ruins their whole experience, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be careful about this stuff.
Yeah. All right. So mostly that though, Brandon, Destiny 2 and
Destiny 2. I mean, it has. I do want to say, like, I think it is well worth getting if you enjoy, first person PvE kind of shooters. Like I wasn't exactly sure if I was gonna love it, but I think the PvE is pretty fun. One thing that is like weird, but maybe is by design, is there is no music volume slider. You can either turn the music off or have it on, and you can turn the volume down or up, but the music volume, you cannot change that independently from the rest of the game volume. And so
bizarre.
It is a weird choice, but also, like, I wish I could turn it down. Okay, I wish I could turn the music down. But the music, I think, like does add. Feature. Yeah, I think the music does add a lot to the game. Like, it is, I think, one of the cool things that they do through the campaign and then with some of the quests is you really do kind of get on the edge of your seat, because the music will kind of ramp up, and like just they find the right points to put music in that makes you feel a little more frantic, or like just basically the way they do in movies and everything, but like it feels choreographed, where the music is part of the experience. And and I feel like there aren't many games that have music to that level. Like there are games with good music, but I think the usage of music here really makes the experience a little bit more immersive. So I want the music on, but also I would really love to turn down the music just a little bit so that I can like hear the person I'm talking to. But that's not an option.
Are there different sliders for things like dialogue and sound effects, or is there just one game sound slider?
I don't think so. I'm not looking at the game menu right this second, but I think there was just basically like a slider for turning it up and down, like basically the same thing you can do in Windows. Because I was looking for a music volume slider. I was like, wow, this is very loud. I would like to turn this down a little bit, and I could not find that. And so that really stuck out, because I'm like, I'm just used to being able to turn down the music independently and have it, as kind of like background noise, not too overpowering. Right. I want to hear the sound of my weapons. I want to hear, I want to be talking to Scott or whoever I'm playing with. But nope, you either get no music or you get music blaring in your ears when they want it blaring in your ears.
That's a weird
$1 million
oversight.
budget, no fucking music slider. All right.
Well,
what does it take?
It couldn't. That's the thing, though. How could it be an oversight? It has to be intentional. There's no way.
Like they don't want you to
be like an engine limitation or something, because there's no way that the game devs behind it were like, yeah, this is okay.
I mean,
they probably just couldn't do it for some reason.
I don't know. I want to believe that. I want to believe there's some real technical limitation, but part of me really truly believes that someone believes that the artistic integrity of this game is more important than your desire to turn the music down.
I was going to say, it sounds like either they get nothing or they get the way it's intended.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is a potential thing that could have happened, because I've experienced similar sort of design decisions in my game where I'm like, yeah, maybe I don't want to give that option, but then I sort of think about it a bit. I'm like, it's not really up to me. You know, like you have to sort of suck up your pride a bit and be like, okay, like this isn't about how I want to experience it. It's about other people, like the audience want to experience. You know, like that's sort of the priority.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's not even difficult to really add, depending on the
I know. I mean, like it couldn't be difficult to add, right? Every
like
game.
My game has music sliders, and we're like a fucking jury rig operation. Like, I'm not fucking like Activision or Bungie. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. But it is super fun. So I've been enjoying that, and I'm gonna try and level up, to the point where I can do the raid that I think releases in a few days. I've heard that's really good. So I still think I'll get, probably 20, 30 more hours out of this. And then maybe by the time I'm done with that, by the time I have that much playtime logged, then maybe the DLC comes out. Like I don't have a ton of time to play compared to when I used to play WoW, and other MMOs. So maybe their cadence of new content will actually fit what I'm looking for. But I just noticed that like this starting point, when I did have 20 plus hours to sink in, I was like, oh wow, why is everyone a higher level than I am? And we've been playing more or less the same amount of time. I'm like, oh cool. I made these few mistakes that, great. Let me start an alt and do 20 more hours.
20 more, yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Destiny 2. Katie, what you been playing?
I've been playing a few things. Let me take a look here just to refresh. So I've been streaming, getting into the first Wolfenstein. Well, not the first one, but the New Order, to get ready for the new one. And I've been sleeping on that game. That is a really, really well polished single player campaign. Like,
it's so good.
Oh yeah, like I really wasn't expecting it to have such a cinematic feel with like the effort put into the cutscenes in that game are really something. And just the gameplay is really good. I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty, and oh man, that has been
no joke.
Yeah, that's no joke. It starts off kind of like this isn't too bad. Like if you focus, you can get through it, and later on, it's just replaying encounters over and over and over. But it's fun. It's still good. And other than that, I picked up Evil Within 2. I haven't gotten too far into that. I've had had some struggles figuring out the settings on that because it doesn't run very well. But I found a setting to be at where, because I don't know what was happening. Maybe there was like, I don't know why, but I would bump the game down to like lowest possible settings. I would even put resolution at like 1600 by 900, and I would be like standing in a room, and I would rotate the camera and drop between 60 to 30 like it was nothing. But I don't know if like computer restart fixed it, but now I'm 1080p medium high settings, and it's at a stable 50 FPS on a 970, which I mean it isn't too great, but it runs fine now, and the game's okay. It's very different from the first Evil Within. It's not like the structure of the first game, where it's kind of like an RE4 style, point A to point B. By the time you get into the action, it does the same thing as Evil Within 1, where you have like a mandatory stealth section, but to start the game off with. But when you first get in there, actually doing you're in an open world section of the game, and you're exploring, you're doing side quests, and it was really bizarre at first, but I was actually really impressed by how it still managed to be eerie and a little scary, or like just tense. I mean, like even despite being like an open world setting. And I find it odd. I mean, as far as like visuals go, I think it's kind of a downgrade from the first game. Everything looks a lot more cleaner, and I really loved how Evil Within 1 was really grimy. I didn't like the black boxes. I didn't like the insane film grain, but yeah, just playing it recently, like back and forth between the two, I just overall like the visuals of Evil Within 1 more. But we'll see. Evil 2 has been okay so far, but mainly I've just been trying to finish up stuff this week that like I start and I just want to finish up games. Like I'm back into Pokemon Sun again, trying to finish that game, getting more into Tales of Berseria, and that's just been a gem of a game. But the main thing I want to talk about is this game on Steam called Doki Doki Literature Club. I don't know if you guys have,
no, I can heard of this. Other than your reference on Saturday to me about it.
Yeah. Well, it's a free-to-play visual novel on Steam, and you look at the trailer and the screenshots and everything, and it's about all these cute girls in a high school club, and spending time with them, writing poems, and then the very bottom of the synopsis says, "This game is not recommended for children or those who are easily disturbed." Ooh. And then the top-rated tag on Steam is psychological horror. And so that really grabbed my attention. The guy who made it, it was like, his name's Dan Salvato. He actually is the same guy that developed Frank Gervais Z. He also did a mod for Brawl, like for Melee. It was like a 20XX mod he did. So he's dabbled in a few things, but he made this entire game more or less by himself. And I played it with my brother. We marathoned through the whole game, and that is just that game is one of the best experiences of a game. Like, I don't really want to describe it too much without spoiling it.
Okay.
I think going in with just knowing that there's going to be a twist, like there's more than meets the eye, that's the exact amount of knowledge you need. I think anybody, I mean, it's free if you're a fan of horror games, if you're a fan of visual novel games. It's definitely try it out.
You were really recommending it.
Yeah. I think you'd really enjoy it. I think it'd be a good stream game for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing but great things to say about that game. It's awesome.
Oh.
But
right.
That's me for this week.
Gotcha. All right, and I'll go real quick, and then we're gonna parlay this into talking to Ben a little bit about the game he's working on and what he's played too. But yeah, for me, I played some Destiny too. I played more PvP than I played PvE stuff. And one thing I do want to commend them on is that since I hadn't done too much PvE other than getting to the level and missions done where I could unlock the PvP Crucible stuff, is that you can get, you get drops and stuff like that for playing PvP as well and leveling up. Obviously not as, I think it's like the most effective route to go, but it's like the fact that you're getting rewarded for playing PvP, even though you don't play the PvE, I actually liked a lot. And I love the PvP in that game. I think it's really, really good and polished. I like pretty much all the modes. So enjoying that. I think I've played like 4 or 5 hours of PvE stuff, so I haven't done too much. So I do eventually want to get to max level, but I'm not really rushing it or anything like that. So I am enjoying Destiny 2, but I second everything you said. It's freaking beautiful. It runs great. I played the new episode this week of Life is Strange Beyond the Storm, the second one, and let me tell you, it's a pretty incredible experience. It continues to be one of the best things that you can play with other people in the room with you to witness what you're experiencing, so they can say, yes, that actually happened. Yes, I'm here with you. I saw that whole thing. I'm feeling all kinds of things myself. And I think that's the best. I always say that I think the Life is Strange games are some of the best games to stream on Twitch. So definitely enjoyed the second episode. And there's only 3, so I'm not sure if it'll be another month or so until the next one comes out. But definitely a fun experience. And then other than that, I've been playing. So I talked about NBA 2K18 quite a bit, and about the 2K greed and the VC stuff, which is the game currency to like level up and stuff like that. And so I played some of that, and I've been actually playing a lot of that off stream as well. And I've been trying to grind my character because I really want to play the online stuff. But since I'm determined not to spend any money to level my character up beyond the $60 that I spent, it's just so long. Like I've played, I think I have 25 or 26 hours in that game. I think I've probably put a solid like gameplay time, like maybe 20, maybe 19, because there's a lot of cutscenes and stuff like that. Maybe like 19 hours, and you start out at level 60, and my guy is almost level 70 after 19 hours of grinding. The top that you can get is 99 if you don't spend anything. And so I'm not necessarily progressing at like an insane rate. I'm like getting to the point now where I'm getting quite a a decent amount of the virtual currency, the VC per game. Like I've got it kind of dialed in with what I practice to try to maximize. And even all of that, I'm just now about to hit level 70. So anyway, it's a grind, but the one thing that keeps me going about it is like the game. Like it's probably the best basketball simulation that's ever been made. I mean, it's like I've played a lot of games at this point, and I'm still getting like animations and stuff that I haven't seen yet. And like I'm midway through the first season of my character, and it's just like it's to the point like if you hadn't seen an NBA basketball game in a long time, and somebody was watching it from afar, you'd be like, oh, okay, who's playing right now? Like it's stupid accurate and good in that sense, and it's a lot of fun and it's rewarding to play. Other than the VC stuff, so it's like my weird sleeper game where I didn't expect to fucking be like addicted to grinding it out and actually enjoying it. So it's like where you guys are grinding Destiny, I'm over here grinding my NBA my player career to try to get to a point where I feel like I can actually go and play online against other people who are like 80, 85, 90. It's like, because if I go to the playground right now, I'm going to get pretty destroyed by people that are higher levels. So
how much
of
the currency would it take to level up? Like
I'm trying to give a good example. So like right now it takes between, I'm trying to actually calculate it for where I am. So I'm a 69 right now, and I just leveled to 69. So I was like doing the calculations of trying to upgrade different skills, and it looked like it was going to take around maybe 10 or 12,000 VC to get to 70, depending on what skills I upgrade. And depending on the game and how well you play, like my guy's like, okay, like I can do certain things that give me more points. So like right now I'm averaging, I'm trying to think on the VC actual gain per game. Like if it's a decent game, I might get 500 to 800 VC, maybe a little bit more. So you're figuring, and these games take, because I'm simulating 12-minute games, my guy's getting like 15, 20 minutes. That is the equivalent of, it's probably like, I mean, it depends. It fluctuates depending on how well you do, but that could be a solid hour and a half, 2 hours to garner the next level. And then 70 is only a minor, like from 69 to 70, it's like, okay, I get 3 more. So instead of my mid-range jumper now might be a 73% chance to hit if I'm in the open, it goes to 74 when I get to 70. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of grind. So it's very minimal. So, and it takes so long.
So can you just buy your way there though? Like how much?
That's what I'm saying. That's how the game's set up.
So take to buy your way to the next level?
If I wanted to drop $100, which is the package that they recommend after you've already spent 60, I would get enough VC to probably instantly be like an 85 to 90. Like just if I wanted to spend it. And that's what people do is people buy the game, they just drop $160 and then they level a guy and then they just play the playground. And it's like, to me, that is just a fundamental, it's just a perfect example of how not to do stuff like this, because it's like, for me, it's like if I spent the $60 or other people that don't have the money to legitimately do that, it's, I don't know, it's just so kind of unfair, especially when there's an online component like that. Like it's so that's the real
gameplay experience for people that bought the game at full price and still deserve a proper game.
Exactly. Like I'm all for the VC if they wanted to do cosmetic stuff or whatever else. I don't really have a problem with cosmetics in games because that's a side thing that's like, and also the fact that this game, I've talked about 2K in the past, but this game is literally, it's the cringiest. It's the actual characters and stuff that they try to have, like your player, like all these NBA players start as you keep progressing. They come and it's like, oh, here comes Joel Embiid from the Sixers, and he wants to be your buddy. He wants to take you fishing. And then you have this one character, the side character named Boo Boo, who's like the security guard who always makes these wise quips every game when you go out. It's so fucking horrible. But then you start getting courted by like Nike and all these brands, and then everything in the game is an advertisement. So like you'll walk into your crib, quote unquote, and then there'll be a cutscene with this character who's your little sidekick, who's this I can't even, what's her name? I can't even, she's so terrible. We actually ended up doing some research on my stream. Somebody sent me the link of this comedian that they picked up for this. Basically, they recorded this entire game improv, and the entire, it's like when you play it and you don't realize that at first, you go, did they just turn the cameras on these mongoloids? Just like improv, and then you realize when you watch behind the scenes that that's exactly what they did. I'm telling you, there was no script. It's like, and they all think that they're so brilliant, and the whole thing is just a train wreck. And you're like, I can't believe this is a AAA multi-million-dollar title. And so it all comes through there. And so like you walk into your crib at one point and there's just this giant HD picture of a gif of a fucking Reese's Puffs box. And it's like, hey, I really love these Reese's Puffs. Do you love Reese's Puffs? Would you like to get a contract with Reese's? And then it pops up. It's like, yes, I would, or no, I don't like Reese's Puffs. Like that's the entire game. I'm not kidding. In the side story, it's crazy, dude. Oh. I've never seen more ads packed into a game. So on one level, I'm horrified, and on one level, I'm like, wow, way to go, 2K. Like they got pretty much every brand that you could ever think of in sports. Like they have all the shoe brands. They've got Gatorade. They've got fucking Reese's Puffs. I'm like, doesn't even track with like NBA and health, really. Like Gatorade, I get, but like Reese's Puffs, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But anyway,
on one hand, you're like, a little bit disgusted at the tactics, but then you're like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I do want that Reese's sponsorship.
I do, because guess what? You get VC with it. That's also how they get you. Ooh. So they basically teach you to sell out. Because like I'm out there, I would be sucking, dude. If there was a mini game to suck every NBA player's dick in NBA 2K18 for like 2 VC at a time, I would do that. Like I would be, because there's mini games for working out to get your energy levels up, so you can do like treadmill and all this other stuff. To get your energy level up. If there were mini games for that, I would be prostituting myself. And of course, I'm somebody that I appreciate a good sellout, so I can see what 2K is doing. But the VC stuff is just crazy. So
it all ties back into that currency.
It is. You just want to get as much VC as possible. So when you resolve to not pay for it, every little thing you can get in that game is huge. You're like, yep, okay, I'll take that. I'll take this.
I kind of appreciate that they're teaching you about like the ethical dilemma of, do I really want to plaster one more logo on this jersey? Oh, but I want my character to keep leveling up. So we'll just keep taking these sponsors.
Oh man. So anyway, all that to say, I still really, despite all of my bitching about this game, I can't stop playing it because the actual core gameplay is super fun and rewarding, actually. Not necessarily all the grind and the stuff around it. I don't hate the grind. The other thing was, like, if they were going to do the VC stuff and there was a grind aside, like, they could have made it so that it wasn't nearly as bad as it is. The way they have it set it up, they just expect people to spend the extra money, and that's the real crime. So whatever. All of that to say, I'm probably going to have 30 hours by the end of this week. So I'm still playing it. So if I really wanted to vote, I'd turn it off, but I can't stop. I really like it. But Ben, enough about me. Let's talk about you a little bit. First of all, if you've been playing anything, would like to hear about it. And then, Ben, talk to us. We know you've been working on a game for quite some time, right?
Yeah,
quite some time now. It's been a bit.
Last 3 years. Almost.
3 years. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, and believe me, I fucking can't believe it either.
3 years.
I wanted this thing done so long ago, but you know what? Games take a lot longer than I originally expected. Who would have thought?
Yeah, sorry. Let's talk about that first. Yeah. So the game's called Neon Town, right?
Yeah. It's a top-down action game. It's like focused on basically entirely boss fights. I sort of like when I was first conceptualizing the game, like my basic design premise was like back when I was a kid, I remember like the satisfaction I would feel after like playing a boss for like 3 days in a row or something and finally beating them. And I was just like, what if I just made my game like entirely about that? And that's sort of the central idea. Originally, I wanted it to be like much bigger and better than that, but like, budget constraints and all that sort of stuff limits you. So when I instead of trying to make big open world, big fucking yada yada, it's just okay, so the core design, what do I want my game to be? And that was what it was. So I just made it entirely focused on that. And when you like sort of minimalize your game design like that, it allows you to kind of get more creative with other things. So instead of like spreading it out thin around a lot of different things, you're kind of focused on making one thing really good. And that's sort of what I've tried to do for like, it's a good thing I actually didn't go for that bigger design concept, because like it's been 3 years and I've just been trying to like make this one thing good, let alone like 6 different things.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, especially for like your first game project, the fact that you're like, okay, I'm just going to make the concept that I really want to get across to be good. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Like I've made games before, like Flash games, but like this is my first like big entry into it. Like it's to the extent where instead of trying to like do everything myself, I've made sure it's like like say for example, instead of trying to learn programming, all this stuff, I have a programmer named Hansel who does all of it. Say for example, instead of trying to spend like 10 years to learn how to paint buildings and stuff, I have like a level artist. Like it's the kind of thing where I wanted to make it really good, but I knew that I couldn't do that if it was just me.
Just by yourself.
A few talented people have been really helping me out and have been making big contributions to it. And like the game wouldn't be what it is without their contribution as well. But in terms of what I'm doing for the game, I'm the creative director. I do like lead animation. I do game design, level design, like basically anything that like you would sort of expect a director to be doing. I'm doing that stuff. So it's been a very involving process. I'm just excited it's almost over.
Like, I was just going to say, that leads me to my next question, because I think a lot of people have been following the fact that you've been, it's been like 3+ years now. You've been working on this thing. We've been hearing about it. When is the game gonna release? Do you have an actual hard release date yet, or
we don't have a hard release date, but it will be in or around the month of February. We're hoping like best case scenario, everything goes well. It will be like the beginning of it, but we're trying to give us some time to like polish some things up and make sure that everything's working well, because awesome. We're also sort of looking into going to PAX East this year if possible, and we want the game to be finished before then if we can. So awesome. That's sort of the main priority right now, is trying to get everything done, and it's pretty mad crunch time right now.
Yeah, I bet. So is the game, as far as like levels and all the stuff that you want into it, is the game itself done, and is it like polishing and testing and like technically making it the best it can be, or is there still things you're going to be adding content-wise?
There's still stuff we're adding content-wise. So like say, for example, like not every boss is finished. In a way, most of them are like 3/4 of the way implemented, with some of them being finished entirely. But the thing is as you develop a game over the years, you get these new ideas. You sort of want to revamp things, overhaul some stuff. Like say for example, some of the bosses don't even play even close to what they did during year one. Like a lot of people make fun of people like Phil Fish, where like he redid his game like 3 different times. And I used to make fun of that too, but now I like completely understand it, because like say for example, like even for something as small as the animation work I do, like what I made during month 1 of my game is nothing compared to what I can do now. So you're always tempted to try to go back and make it as best as it can be, because you don't want to put out something you don't feel like proud of,
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense.
So it's been mostly just doing that, honestly. Like the game could have been done a long time ago, but it's because I want it to live to a higher standard as I get better at things, and as I know that we're more capable of other stuff, that I just want to push it to make sure. Like say for example, you only get one chance at a first impression, especially as a game company. So like if I want my name attached to something, I don't want it to be, oh, I'm okay with what it is. I want it to be, I'm proud of what this is. Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Is there I don't know if are you talking price point or anything like that, as far as what you guys are coming in at? You're still figuring all that stuff
out? From the start I knew that the game would be $15 USD. Cool. Yeah. Right. Basically we're trying to make sure that it's packed with as much stuff related to the game as we can for that price point. Like there's a single player campaign which has like all the bosses that you'd see like in a typical sort of action game. There's also a Coliseum mode, so you fight like a tournament-based system, sort of like you'd see with something like Kingdom Hearts, where you're fighting like rounds of enemies and like hidden bosses and stuff like that. There's also like an endless Coliseum mode, so you're basically just like trying to see how far you can go. There's a speedrunning mode. There's going to be like a game like a playthrough plus stuff. Like there's a lot packed in for what we want to do. So I want to make sure that $15 is worth it. Is there wall running? I wish. It's a top-down game, so it might be typical.
Tough to do.
See, also wall running would add quite a hefty bit to the budget that I could not afford.
That's a whole copyright you have to get from Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Copyright.
I wish, man.
Couple questions from chat. Day one DLC?
No. Basically, the one thing I'm dedicated to as a game developer is not to do any of the bullshit that I see constantly
everywhere.
Like no microtransactions, no fucking day one DLC, like no horse armor, like whatever the fuck. Like I wanted to make sure that it's similar with what you would get in like a PS2 game, what you see is what you get. Like you're not gonna wait for an update to fix everything. Obviously, that's not to say we're not gonna patch things once we find them, but like we're gonna make sure that there's nothing wrong when we're like publishing this thing. Because like say for example, right? Like you see games now, they're basically unfinished because they want you to buy more shit. Like an example I love giving, because this sort of represents my point entirely, is say for example, the Mortal Kombat series. I don't know if any of you guys play Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Back on the PS2. Back on the PS2, all right. This game was supposed to be like the magnus opus of Mortal Kombat. It had every character that ever came into the series at that point, like 50 plus characters. It had like a single player adventure mode, the versus mode, the tournament mode. It had a fucking Mario kart racing mode, for God's sake.
Oh, and that's what that's from. I do. Okay.
Yeah, and that was a game that's cheaper now than it is today, because typically, like say for example, where I live, games used to be $60 Canadian. Now they're 80.
Yep.
You know, and with that you get less content. Say for example, Mortal Kombat X, you got like 8-10 characters, and like 4 of them were locked away. You had to buy extra.
Yeah,
it's
so true.
It's ridiculous. So like seeing stuff like that's really discouraging to me, because like because I think about like being a kid, right? You're like, you want to get a game, you want it to like last you a while. You don't want to be like, oh, I got Mortal Kombat or whatever the fuck, and I can only play 8 characters. Like, all right, you know, like it just sucks. So I want to make sure that like I'm not contributing to that. I sort of want to be a bit of a change to the industry in whatever small way that I can.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a cool. I mean, it's funny that you say that. Like, I was just thinking about like when we were growing up. Like, like you would get a game on the PlayStation or Sega or even PS2 days, and and you're like, this is you're not downloading anything. You're not hooking this thing up to the fucking internet. What you get, what you see is what you get. That's what you have.
Exactly.
And it's like that isn't even like kids grow up nowadays. It was so funny when I was playing 2K on stream last week. People were like, I could tell they were children. They were coming into my stream and saying, "Why aren't you buying VC? You just have to buy VC and then you can be good." And they were typing. And so like these kids are like probably like 13 years old or younger, and I can tell. But that's what they know. You know what I mean? Like that's how they've been brought up. They don't understand that games used to come out and they used to just have the content. Like
it's it's
depressing because now people will just grow up and that's what they'll be used to. They'll be like, oh yeah, I started playing NBA 2K18. That was my first sports game. And I remembered you had to spend $160 to be decent at it if you didn't want to grind.
Dude.
It's
so hear something really
because you see people defending it. Like you see people being like, oh, companies have to do this to be sustainable. It's like guys, like 2K can afford it. They're sponsored out the ass. Like you're paying $60 for it. And also let me put this straight, like as straight as I can. If you are a business and you can't make your money back without manipulating your customers into buying your loot boxes and shit, you're bad business. You're a bad businessman. You don't know how to fucking make money properly. Like if you make a game and you can't profit properly by just selling your fucking game, what's wrong with you? Like you're in the wrong industry. Obviously, like it's a shame because like people are just so okay with it now. Like at first it was like, day one DLC, then it was horse armor, then it was like, microtransactions. Then you would see microtransactions in like Dead Space 3, a single player game. Now you see loot boxes, and like now you see loot boxes in single player games. Now it's just gonna get worse. It's only gonna get worse because the thing is that with this attitude that people have, we're like, oh yeah, whatever, they need to do it that way. Like encouragement. It just encourages the game devs to be as shit as they can, because like if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Like if you're okay with one little thing, they'll just drive you into the ground until they like bankrupt you basically.
Oh yeah, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, dude.
Yeah, like could you imagine playing 2K like 06 and seeing that VC shit?
Oh god, it would have been a run. People would have. Right.
You'd be like, what the fuck, dude? Like I already paid $60 for this.
Exactly.
No, you're right, and it has been a slow. It's like I guess part of it's like I'm not resigned. I guess I do have standards to a certain extent because like I took a stand with 2K where it's like, all right, I spent $60, I'm not spending anymore, and I've committed to that. And I'm not going to. Whereas other games where it's like I'm less hard on that, but it has been like that slippery slope where it's like it's not that they can't make their money back, it's that now because that has become the norm, and now their shareholders or whatever else, whatever they expect. Because these insane, remember we talked about that a couple weeks ago, didn't we, Brandon? About the didn't it triple the amount of money the video game industry has been making since the DLC and loot boxes stuff have come. So like now they see it's like once you give them a taste, right? These companies got a taste of it, and now it's just like you said, and we've basically accepted it for the most part. As far as like, if a few of us are just like, no, it's the tide has already changed. Like people are used to it, so it's like, what do we really? So I'm all that to say, I think it's really commendable that you're doing what you're doing.
See, the thing is, I have every reason to encourage that behavior. I'm a game dev. I can profit off of that, but I think it's bullshit. I don't want to like add to that. Like, it's more of just like I feel ashamed of myself if I were doing that shit. Honestly. Yeah. And the thing is, like you can't even blame these companies because, like, again, when you're big enough where you have shareholders and like all that bullshit, like. How can they not? They see that people are like, I don't want to be mean here, but frankly, dumb enough to buy it, you know, and like they're too big to fail. Like you know, Tony, like 15-year-old Tony that wants to like level up an MBA, like you can't really blame him. Like it's all like again, it's all he knows, but it's just shitty because you just want the industry to be better. Like,
something that occurred to me, like that's just so depressing, is that there are probably kids out there on their birthdays that are like, "Mom, can I please get some VC for my birthday?"
Oh, it's so true.
You're right. Oh, that just makes me sick to think about that, man.
It's awful. Like, dude, it's just such a shame because the thing is, like, at this point, it's not even like, oh, we're incentivizing you to buy it. It's manipulating you to buy it. Like, say, for example, what Scott was talking about with how slow it takes to grind. Like, it's not like that to make it fun. They're not doing that to like make you enjoy the game. They're doing it because they want your money. Like, they're like, okay, how can we make this as painful as possible before they like, you know, stop playing? Okay, let's set it to this. You know, and it's a shame. I don't know because,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, like it's just a shame because like games are all about making a gameplay loop that is rewarding to a player, and fundamentally they're just breaking out of that now because now instead of making a gameplay loop rewarding to a player, it's about a gameplay loop that makes a player spend more money. You know, and even after they've already bought your game for full price, like what the fuck?
I've already paid $60.
Like what do you want from me? Like, dude, I have like for 2K18 or whatever, I would have to pay over 80 Canadian dollars, almost $100 with tax included, just to play the game, and then they want more money from you. Like, fuck off. Like, no, totally.
I think one of the earliest times like something like this happened that made me really question was back when like Resident Evil 6 came out, and they had like exclusive levels for mercenaries, where it was like there was one mission you could only get if you pre-ordered through Amazon, one you could only get if you went through Best Buy, and one you could only get through.
I remember that.
Pre-order exclusives.
And just I don't know if we talked about it before, and I haven't really looked that far into, but something I read earlier about like Activision like going for a copyright on like worse matchmaking for microtransaction spenders. I don't know if we talked about that, but
no, we didn't. That was within the past couple of weeks, but yeah, we that's a juicy one.
Yeah, that is just despicable. So huge props to you, Ben, for not giving into that shit.
Thank you. And it's kind of funny because I remember back in the day, I remember this one website, Sarcastic Gamer. I don't know if you guys remember like the PlayStation 3 like parody song, whatever the fuck back in the day. It was like that website. They held a boycott for Battlefield Bad Company 1 because they were selling two different versions of the game. One regular price, one $5 more for some like guns that you would get from the last like leveling up. And people lost their shit like to the point where the company addressed it and changed it. And I'm like, dude, where the fuck is that now? Like,
we're so past that timeline. It's crazy. You're right, though. Yeah, people like, used to get so mad.
We're now at a point where it's like games are just like they don't have a reward system anymore. Like, say for example, with like Overwatch, like people always like say for example, I agree that for some games it's like just cosmetic, that's fine. But with something like Overwatch, that is the reward system. Like when you get a loot box, you're not like, oh, let me get the soldier fucking voice pack.
Right.
You're like, I want the soldier skin, I want the cosmetic, and that's the only reward system. And they don't consistently give you a way of earning those. They don't give you currency like in every loot box. It's just like say for example, when I played, I remember accumulating like 20 loot boxes in a row once without opening them because I knew I wouldn't get anything I wanted. I just be like, what? Like, there's no point to it. So I don't know. It's just a shame because like I play games to have fun, and I don't really like spending more money when I'm playing them, but. That's just my opinion.
It's just too bad because like it's already this bad, and it's factually going to get worse. Like it's just gonna escalate.
It will. the only thing you can even hope for is like an industry crash, but it won't happen. Like the thing is once something is too big to fail, like those companies, like we can sit here all we want and be like, yeah, I'm gonna boycott NBA 2K18, but like fucking like the standard person that plays NBA 2K doesn't give a shit. Like they're just gonna be like, whatever, just let me play with my VC points that I buy and shut up. Like it's a shame, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, this one we went way deeper than well. Actually, I should have expected this because you've actually been pretty vocal about this. But yeah, I think we went deeper. Katie, you really cut me deep when you said it. But I guarantee you that conversation has happened for their birthday, man.
Dude.
Just Mom, I need $20 for VC, then I can go play on the playground. I mean, that's where we're at with games. It's sad. But
man,
to get off the sad topics. Yeah. Oh God, dude. It's sad. But to get off the sad topics again, and back to your game real quick before we got some news we're going to run through before we get into
some more sad news.
Some more sad news.
It's just what's happening,
so this
guys?
is the small bright spot. But so I saw a couple good questions. Will your game have Rule 34 incorporated? Not incorporated, but have Rule 34 in mind? Because
that's
all games that really do well, the Rule 34 from them really helps them take off. Secondly, is there any memes baked into the game specifically that you're excited for people to like find, or like you're like, oh, that'll be a funny nod? Anything that you're excited for people to kind of when they get their hands on it that you're like, I can't wait to see people talk about that or
see. Unfortunately, there's no Watchdog style billboard hacking memes in it.
Okay.
To my disappointment to announce, but there's certainly some moments that I'm happy about that I want people to pay like nod to. Like say for example, it's mostly stuff that's in the cutscenes because I have a writer / voice director, Max, who some might recognize as Soul Brother #3 on YouTube. Very talented guy, really good like comedy writer. And he did like the screenplay for the game, like he did the character dialogue and stuff like that. And there's some good jokes in there that I'm looking forward to see people like maybe on like a Let's Play or something, just how they react to them. Like there's some good bits in there that even after 3 years of development, I think still hold up pretty well. But it's mostly just like what I'm looking forward to is seeing how people react while they're playing like the game, like when they play the bosses, like I'm just stoked on like how, because say for example, I had a taste of that when I went to Fan Expo and I had people play my game there. It was so cool to see how into the game people would get. Like some people wouldn't beat our boss demo and they would come back every day to try to beat it. Yeah. So one guy was there for like over an hour, just like trying as hard as he could to beat the boss. He wouldn't stop playing until he beat it. And it was great. Like it's just like that sort of genuine reaction that I sort of want to see, that I'm looking forward to. If I'm lucky enough, if people are really into the game. But as for the Rule 34 stuff, it might be a bit difficult because the thing is the game takes place in a Victorian like theme, like Transylvanian sort of.
Ooh,
mostly Transylvanian. So it's like think like how like with Bloodborne.
That's my kink.
I was just gonna say I can work with that. Yeah, I can work with that.
Well, I mean, if you
one of my trigger
like some
words.
sweet ankle.
Oh, okay. I absolutely do. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you're into the ankle, you might be into it, but it's hard to say for sure.
Awesome.
All I'm saying, dude, is when's the last time you've seen Lawbreaker Sentai? And look at that game now. Fucking plummeted.
Oh my god.
Dead.
That's a fair point. I should add some like waifu bait in there, like
absolutely. Hentai sells, dude. I'm telling you. All your banner has to be on Steam is just a big ass waifu.
Well, it's something I can keep in mind. Something I can keep in mind for the next game. Just make a bunch of characters people can jerk off to. That's
exactly. Exactly. I mean, I'm sure this game will be. You've worked hard on it. I think it's gonna end up. I hope with you as well. It's gonna be successful. For the second game, it's like incorporate a little bit a sex appeal. It can never hurt. Could never hurt.
Yeah. I mean, if it gets people drawing some wicked fan art, I mean, who can I deny?
Exactly. The bustier, the better is always my motto. So if you got any bosses, anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. Hopefully the game does well enough where I can do a second game. It's obviously very dependent on how much this one is able to sell. But if all goes well, definitely work on another one and include some wicked waifu bait for you guys.
Awesome,
man! I want to buy it 3 times over now. That's where money is going.
I'll be sure to set up like a GameStop pre-order where you can get an exclusive like fucking pinup poster.
Pre-order and get the anime titties bonus pack.
Oh god! Oh,
It's like, do you guys remember when we talked to Ben and he said he wasn't going to do any of this? Oh my god! In the second game, he just totally rejected everything.
Went all out. That reminds me of when I tried to present my demo at the Fan Expo. I forgot a mouse pad, and I tried desperately to find one at the expo. And as you might expect, all I could find were animated mouse pads.
Animated.
I had to spend like an hour walking around. That's all I could find. I was like, okay, I'm going to the nearest Staples. I had to spend like 2 hours trying to find a non-animated mouse pad. Because I'm like, dude, okay, like kids are coming in with their parents. Like, I can't be like, all right, play my game on this pair of tits right now.
Right. It's just 2B's ass.
Yeah, like it was a surprising amount of like 12-year-olds coming to play my game, so I didn't want to disappoint their parents.
What is Town rated? Is it? Is it
probably, I don't know if it'll ever be rated. I don't really know how the ESRB works, but if they were to, it'd probably rated T. Like there's like some cursing, some blood, but like it's nothing like major. You know, it's yeah, we want it to be like, you know, like all right, but edgy enough, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Right. Yeah. One more question: will there be voice acting, and are you currently looking for a voice actor? I mean, I don't want to say I know somebody, but if you're ever looking for a voice actor, then
I mean, currently we do have voice acting, but the thing is all the lines were recorded like 2.5 years ago by some very talented people. Yeah, I mean, I could always jot your name down for the next one if I do.
For the animated sequel.
Yeah. Yes, I will make sure you specifically voice an animated character.
Yes, that's all I could ever want.
There you go.
Appreciate it,
Wow,
man.
look at me! Look at what I voiced acted.
I'm immortalized.
Oh god!
Here, you can be the left titty, Katie, and I'll be the right titty. It'll be a boss with talking titties. And both of our man, let's do this.
Think about it.
That was
you joke, but that will sell.
You know, it would. That's the thing, though. That was one of my priorities, though, for the game. Was when I was determining budget, I wanted to make sure, like, just because personally, it kind of bores me when games just have like those text dialogues and they have no voice acting. It's just like say for example, with Hotline Miami, like I always find myself skipping the dialogue because I'm like, okay, like I'm sure it's fine and all, but I don't really feel like reading all this shit. And it's like I design my game so it can appeal to those people. Where like, if you want voice acting, it's there to help like emphasize the atmosphere. But like, if you want to skip all that shit, you can do it. It won't matter. Like, you can just play the boss fights. Like, I want to make sure it can like be playable for someone who just genuinely doesn't give a shit. Because I know that some people just don't. You know, I can work as hard as I can on the story, but if you don't want it, then who am I to try to make you sit through 2 hours of cutscenes so you can't refund my game like an NBA 2K18?
right, exactly.
God damn.
God, that's the other. Oh yeah, well, the cutscenes. I forgot about that. Oof.
Yeah, yeah, it's a nice business tactic. I gotta hand it to him.
Definitely.
Do not have worth of cutscenes to do that with, though. So I'm sure that'll work.
All right. Well, Ben, we appreciate you coming on and talking about the game again for people that are just joining or didn't hear at the top of the interview. Ben Basic or Benjamin Basic, been a longtime KBMOD community member and someone that has been working on his game Neon Town for three plus years now. And tentatively, you're thinking February of 2018,
it should be.
Right?
Okay. I'm feeling pretty confident about it because, I mean, with what we have left to do, I'm sure we can definitely squeeze everything in there in time. We just have to make sure we don't, keep trying to fucking overhaul everything because while I want to, like, every now and again, it's like, I just got to stop. Like, I'm going to be working on this game till I'm like 50 years old if I just keep revamping it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can totally understand it. Like you're saying about it's just never because you're so much farther than when you first started working on certain aspects. You're like, man, I could change this and I could tweak this. I'm sure like you just never feel like you could ever fully be done with your game.
Yeah,
you could always be tweaking.
I always hear that from people that do game dev, and honestly, I can understand it because at a certain point, like I just have to be in a place where I can feel comfortable. I want to change some things, but understand that I can't spend another couple years on this thing. Like.
Right.
It's got to come out at some point, guys. Like I can't just be having it on the back burner my whole life.
Totally. All right.
Especially because I'm excited for future projects. So it's always good to move on whenever you can.
Very cool. All right. Well, there you go. Neon Town, guys. Tentatively looking at February of next year, and I know that I and a lot of other people on KBMOD are very excited to play it, check it out, and yeah, man, I hope it goes well, and I hope people really like the game. So
thanks, man. I'm glad people are looking forward to it. It's like genuinely a really nice thing to see. It's really encouraging.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna move on from Neon Town into Shutdown Town. That's
all right.
Listen, Shutdown Town, population visceral. Okay,
and I was gonna say if we could have like segued right in the middle of what Ben was talking about, we would have had the perfect segue talking about like game dev budgets and how like microtransactions are sort of the name of the game now. But that's one of the interesting things. This article was from a couple weeks ago, but we didn't have a podcast last week due to TwitchCon. But this was pretty big news because Visceral got shut down, and basically they provided this reasoning that they're rebooting their Star Wars game due to the marketplace. So there is there's a quote here from I think Patrick Soderlund, who is an EA executive, and he says, "It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we needed to pivot the design. We are shifting the game to be a broader experience that allows for more variety and player agency."
Yeah, that means fuck you, fuck single player only games.
Dude, 100%. That is, they were making a single player experience that was, you know why I know that? Because the people that were that spearheading this single player Star Wars game was all-star game industry vet Amy Hennig, who worked on the Uncharted series. And what does the Uncharted series do really well? They just made a fucking fantastic single player experience that is unforgettable. Uncharted is really, really an amazing series. And so, like, I feel like exactly what you're saying, Katie. They were like, wow, this does not have any. Like, where's all the DLC and like the microtransactions?
Yeah, that's a quote.
And stuff?
It says, we should. It was shaping up to be.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's just there's even a quote from him saying it was shaping up to be a story-based linear game, and then it essentially just talks about it's become clear that fucking sucks, and that won't make us as much money. Yeah, this is just hard, man. This news just sucked for me. Dude,
he uses the actual phrase. He uses the exact phrase "fundamental shifts in the marketplace."
So, oh my god.
So this, when this news had broken, I saw a lot of discussion around, because obviously, like, he's basically sort of saying people don't want to pay for a story-based linear game. Like, that's pretty much what he's saying. And so a lot of people came out and were basically saying, there is still a place for these types of games, but maybe for EA there's not. Like Ben was alluding to earlier, talking about, I think we're seeing AAA studios having to make more money on these big properties, and especially like a Star Wars title. You have to imagine that license is very expensive. So if it doesn't look like they can make a massive hit from that game, like this can't be a decision they would make lightly. Shutting down a studio, pivoting an entire game that they've already sunk a lot of time into. It's just, man, that's like what an awful outcome for a lot of people that poured a lot of effort into it.
Just an absolute shame.
Because I knew that all hope was gone for another Dead Space game, but just to see it actually like happen, it just still hurts. Like, and let me see. And they're even talking about like Amy Hennig's involvement with this, who was the director of the first 3 Uncharted games.
Right.
And it's not even confirmed if she's still going to be on the project. Like, so that's just it feels like any like scrap of a story that'll be left in this is going to take a blow if she's not going to be in this, because she is incredible. And then, God.
Yeah. So there you go.
This is like my trigger. Right? God.
Yeah, it's all very interesting wording around like the using kind of vague statements like fundamental shifts in the marketplace, but you can sort of see the the writing on the wall that, man, like how do they get? Is it so bad that they can't find a way to make that game pay the bills? Like they didn't, the I don't know that the market has changed so much over the past few years that you would think 3 years ago, 3 years ago, this was like a good bet, and now it's such a bad bet that you shut down the studio. Like that just seems crazy to me.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, is that with companies like EA, because sort of a thing with a lot of those sort of game companies now is they make their games such a massively huge budget, really unnecessarily, to the point where in order to even feel like they're a success or profitable, they need to sell like 3 million copies or some like crazy amount. Like it was the same thing that happened with like Tomb Raider and a bunch of other games where they just pour too much money into these things. And part of the reason for this, because typical people that play games like these sorts of games, like they sort of demand it to feel AAA. Like you need to have the best graphics, you need to have this, you need to have that. And if they don't have it, they sort of just toss it aside as if it's nothing. And EA is sort of pressure to do stuff like this. I'm not defending them, but it's unfortunate where in a market like this, they almost, like, EA has always had a reputation of like buying out studios and closing them after like porting them to other dumb projects that they aren't specialized in. Like, say for example, like Visceral was the creators of Dead Space, and then they got ported off to like working on like what was it, like
Battlefield Hardline.
Yeah. It's like what you look at that game and you think, let's make a multiplayer like shooter game with them. Like that's stupid. Like it's not even the same skill set. So like it just leads to a lot of poor business decisions like that, where like instead of trying to make it like artistically sound, it's more so just, okay, let's just pump out another Battlefield clone, let's make another this, another that, until they close them. Because obviously, who would have guessed the company that doesn't specialize in making Battlefield games didn't exactly make the best Battlefield games, No. Like they take these companies, take away the soul of them, and just let them go. And it's not even like the first time it's happened this year with EA. Like they just love doing this shit.
And
it's a shame because EA made like Mirror's Edge, and that's like one of my favorite new franchises. I was like, yo, Mirror's Edge kicks ass, and I don't think they've made like a new IP like that ever since.
Yeah, well, there was also, in the wake of that news, and people talking about it on Twitter and such, one of a dev from the Dead Space team talked about how Dead Space 2 cost $60 million to make and sold 4 million copies, and that underperformed. So he didn't say whether it was profitable. Like I'm sure he was making sure not to reveal something private. But he did say that the game underperformed. So when you think about a game like Dead Space 2 costs 60 million, sells 4 million copies, and that's considered underperforming, then that sort of paints a pretty bleak picture, because like 4 million copies, I think to anyone out on the street, that sounds like an incredible amount of sales.
It's also just straight up stupid business-wise, because the horror game genre has always been a niche market. It's not like a Call of Duty where you're gonna sell like millions and millions of copies because people want to go, and play with their friends online. It's like something that like a select amount of people like. Not everyone is into like being scared straight while they're playing games, right? So if you're going to make something for that niche market, you have to budget it accordingly. Like, don't put in a Call of Duty budget into your game that is for a market not even close to that big. Like, it's a shame. Like, those business decisions lead to a bunch of talented people being left without jobs. And that's really the biggest, sad truth of it, is that these people, very talented people, worked very hard on something they likely didn't really have much control over, and now they're out jobless and have to try to find work like somewhere else.
Yeah, well, they did say they were going to try and shift as many people to other studios as they could, like from Visceral.
So they do that, but it's sort of just like a thing to save face. Like what they mean by that is, we will transfer a bunch of them to a bunch of other projects that like really just like say a couple here, a couple there. It's not like they're transferring the whole team like to another sort of studio. It's like they're trickling them away. So it's like they're just a shell of what they used to be. Like some
Right.
people that work well together aren't going to be on the same teams anymore. Like or they might just do it where they keep them on another studio for like maybe a year or two, and then they let them go from there. You know, it's sort of just a thing to save face for publicity.
It triggered me, Ben, when you said trickling them away. I don't know. It made me think of like when my money gets trickled away via microtransactions. And what if I told you? What if I told you, Ben, that it came out recently that Activision has patented a matchmaking process that encourages players to buy microtransactions.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Trickling away even more money from their wallets than the initial purchase. And I saw this too, and I was like, there's no way this is a meme, or this is like overblown, or surely this is not real. And it looks pretty fucking real to me.
This is what I mean by give them an inch, they take a mile. They will never stop. Like they won't stop, man. And that's the great thing about it, is that like no matter what it is, they will always find another way to try to monetize these things. And it's just great. I love it. I can't wait to spend money to play a fair game of what I already bought. Like, all right. Like, because the thing is that I remember them commenting me like, oh, just because we patent it doesn't mean we actually implement it. It's like, thanks. Like, thanks for the bullshit, Activision. Like, as if you're going to spend the money to patent this and not use it. Like, do you think I have a one brain cell? Like, come on. Like,
yeah, it's just I mean, of course they're patenting this because they're going to be using it, even if they're not using it. Like, if you read this, like, I'm just going to read this quote real quick, because just to kind of give an example of what it says in the patent here. For example, microtransaction engine 128 may identify a junior player to match with a marquee player based on a player profile of the junior player. In a particular example, the junior player may wish to become an expert sniper in a game. Microtransaction engine 128, by the way, microtransaction engine 128.
Stop it.
May match the junior player with a player that is a highly skilled sniper in the game. In this manner, the junior player may be encouraged to make game-related purchases, such as a rifle or other item used by the highly skilled sniper. Okay, folks, if you can hear that paragraph and not think that we are not living in the darkest timeline when it comes to, I mean, this is, like you said, Ben, this is not even giving an inch anymore. There aren't inches. They're 12-footing us with their fucking, like, they're up our ass 12 inches, dude, and they're using our fucking mouths as like puppets.
And of course it's Activision. Like, of course it's Activision. Like what other company would do this?
I mean, it's so shameless at this point to try to just to continue to get money out of people that they're patenting it, that they feel like, well, this will become like a standard that we need to make sure nobody can steal it from. So beyond the fact that they're patenting ripping people off, because this is a pretty kind of, this is like, I don't think anybody could look at this and be like, wow, this isn't really scummy. Even for our standards, the fact that they're like, no one could steal this either. If anybody else tries to use this model, we will also make money off of it. If anyone else wants to use it, it's fucking insane.
God, it's the best. It's such a great system that they decide to patent. And the thing is like, this sort of thing already exists. It's just they're more subtle with it. Like, say for example,
of course.
like what you're saying with NBA 2K16, right? Like, you can't play online because you're going to get your ass kicked by all the people that spend money on VC. You know, it already exists in a more subtle way, but this is Activision being like, all right, let's just be right up front with it. Let's just let them know, yep, you want to have a fun time? You're going to give us money.
Right, exactly. Like you stand no chance. Like, hey, you're a rookie. Guess what? You're going to play against somebody that's like a level 90. And if you want to be there, then you gotta spend the money. Like, again, people are talking about, like, doesn't this already exist? Like okay, in free-to-play games, I'm sure, like, sure. Like, if your entire business model is like, hey, this is a free product, and if you want to get certain things, like, you can think whatever you want about that. But I'm not saying it's forgivable, but it's different than like a $60 title or whatever else. It's like that you've already paid all this money up front to play.
I think there's like, I agree with what you're saying, but also I think there is, so to play devil's advocate,
yes. Please.
One, they filed this patent 2 years ago, so it just got granted, but they filed it 2 years ago. So, like,
right.
you should be mad at Activision. You should have been mad at them for 2 full years already. It's just that we didn't know they did.
We didn't know about it. Yeah.
So the outrage is more that, like, they've always been thinking about this. It's just that it actually got granted now. So if your outrage is really maybe more for the patent office than it is for Activision in 2017. But I think so I could see something, if a company like Activision, they're going to patent anything they can. So whether they use it or not, like it doesn't hurt to have the patent even if you never use it. So they might actually never use it, but they want to have it because they can either license it to someone else or like there's no harm in patenting something. I could see this being a less harmful thing than it seems on its face if it is really deep in the matchmaking. So what I mean by that is, let's say that Scott and I, we both have we're trying to match for a game of Call of Duty, right? And we both have the exact same match history. I've won 100 games and lost 100 games, and Scott has won 100 games and lost 100 games. And he uses the M16 25% of the time, and I use the M16 25% of the time. Like we have the exact same stats, right? So when it's trying to match us together, it's like, oh, all of these, we're the last player to match in a game, okay? So there's only one spot, one for me or one for Scott. Like it has to pick one of us.
Right.
If the matchmaking criteria went through a whole bunch of other things that are like actually gameplay relevant, and then like the last tiebreaker is who owns like the cooler skins, right? Or like who, if it's like if it's way down the line in like tiebreaker criteria, then I could be like, you know what? Okay, fine. If you've gone through this stuff and like at the very end you're doing some tie breaking based off of who has cosmetic stuff or who might encourage players to buy things as like a really, really secondary, tertiary, fourth, fifth type criteria, then I would have less of a problem with it. But the thing is, like, the patent doesn't specify that, right? It's vague enough.
Do you think that they're gonna? Right, you're this devil's advocate has some seriously rose-colored glasses on.
It is. I do. It is very optimistic that they would.
I feel you. I see what you're saying. I just don't. I think you can't trust a company to not do that.
I'm not saying you should trust them, but I'm saying I do think there is a way that they could implement this that wouldn't be quite as unsavory as it seems on the surface.
Right,
but you're right that having to even explain away that already puts them in a bad position, right? Like people have a visceral reaction. Oh, man, a visceral. I didn't mean to make that callback, but there it is. People have a visceral reaction to stuff like this, and the Destiny I think community manager actually came out and said specifically none of this functionality is in Destiny. Like they're coming when you have people from your company that have to come out and basically calm people down and say, hey, we're not using this, then that's a pretty good indicator that it seems unlikely they would use it, because the damage it would cause if they got quote unquote caught, because if people found out they were doing this, the damage to their brand would potentially be really significant. So I don't think they're gonna use it. I think it's probably more of a defensive play. Like there's no harm in having a patent because it just means no one else can use it without paying you. But I do think that it's almost from a logical perspective, I actually kind of like it. It's really devious, but it's smart. It's really interesting and smart. But also, in the back of your mind, you're like, it's smart, but also, is it ethical? It feels like it borders on, these unethical business practices of taking advantage of people's psychology in this really subtle way that they don't recognize. So it's just, it was really interesting that this came out and was such a hot topic of conversation, because all of this kind of plays together, that if you can't afford to make a game without resorting to kind of psychological tricks like this, that gets really worrisome. But I don't think we're there yet. It's just that I think people imagine that world when they see something like this, and that's a scary place.
To imagine that much, because we just spent all this time lamenting. I mean, I think a lot of our conversations has already been steered toward we're pretty much there. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we have to really. It takes much imagination to be okay, once they got the patent approved or whatever else, and who knows when they'll start actually using it. But just you look around and you go, I mean, what gives us any hope that Activision isn't going to use this. Do you know what I mean? Or isn't going to use it in a way that is more nefarious than kind of the scenario that you put out.
I think that the concern for people is that you would never know, right? Like these games that don't have like a dedicated server list where you join a specific server and it's instead just matchmaking. Like no one, these games never give an open look into their matchmaking system. So you would just never know. And I think that now that people see the possibilities that like Activision, they make Call of Duty, they make other games where there's only really matchmaking as an option. In the back of your mind, you're going to be thinking about this. Like every time you click matchmake, and you're like, you see someone that has really cool skins, and you think back to this article, like, oh man, that gets pretty scary. That they're like subtly trying to take advantage of your tendencies as a human. And maybe you can resist them, but other people can't. And that I think Ben used the right word, that like it starts to feel manipulative, and that's that's scary.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's a shame. And the thing is though, is that even if they weren't as like secretive about implementing it, even if they were caught, I would argue it wouldn't even affect their brand that much. Because say for example, with something like Shadow of War or whatever that came out recently, the Lord of the Rings game, I saw so many people being upset about those loot boxes, but they still bought it. Like they're still gonna get their money, and that's really all that matters. Like there might be like some people in the community being like, yeah, this is lame, don't do it, but like at the end of the day, it's like pennies to these people. Like it'll still sell like gangbusters. And like while it's nice to hope that if like they were caught doing it, people like stir up the pot a bit, it's we've seen too many examples of it just simply not really happening, where I wouldn't really feel hopeful about that. Realistically, I assume it would be implemented in the way that Brandon's suggesting, where like they would just be like a lot more hidden about it. They wouldn't try to like shove it in your face, at least hopefully not. But like if they're smart, they wouldn't. But at the same time, even if it's discovered, it's hard to say if it would really affect their brand all that much. Because Call of Duty already, like people are already like upset that Call of Duty added like loot boxes or whatever the fuck to like the Modern Warfare 2 remaster, which was a game you had to spend like $120 on to get the like hardened edition to play a fucking remaster of a game that came out like 10 years ago. So it's like if people will tolerate that much shit to play, Modern Warfare 1, who's to say they're not going to do it for like, Modern Warfare 2 comes out and you want to play in a game where you can quick scope, pay $2. Like
that'll cost you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like it's a shame, but again, too big to fail. It's unlikely that it would damage them too much, because Activision at this point can get away with anything. They can get away with that Modern Warfare remaster shit. Like there's no way that they're invincible at this point. Like goddamn.
All right. Well, like you said, we'll keep an eye on this stuff. It's hard not to get jaded and depressed, but again, we've got people like Ben making games like Neon Town, and we can fight back in our own small ways, and play the games that we, and play the games that we want to play. I guess
we can trust
that have our values. I suppose. I don't know.
But, speaking of having our values,
oh shit,
AD. This was probably quite a hit to you.
Oh,
but GameStop has rolled out what can only be described as pure innovation in the game rental market.
So I found this news kind of last minute, and the only appropriate heading I could put for this is GameStop assassinates family video, which I can only think is just a quintessential headline. So basically, starting November 19th, 2017, GameStop is going to start their Power Pass rental program. It's so keep in mind, let's lay the groundwork. So Family Video's monthly plan you can partake in is $10 a month, and all of your rentals are half off. Well, at GameStop, you pay $60 for 6 months, or you can go into a GameStop with your Power Pass and just borrow any used game they have. And you can switch them out anytime. There's no limit. And the best thing is, at the end of the 6 months, you get to keep the last game that you borrowed, which is a little crazy to me. I'm not sure. Let me see. I think you can only swap out one game at a time. That would, that makes sense. But yeah, that is outrageous. So GameStop putting
Sounds like the
final
shittiest version of Blockbuster.
No, that actually like I mean I was doing the math, like how much money are you spending per month on, let's say if you were to rent a game if you were going to go like every 5-day rental of Family Video for the course of 6 months, the money compared to just the 60 for 6 months, like if you're someone that's constantly going to be playing like used games and like swapping games, then this seemes like a pretty crazy offer.
I was gonna say I could see if you're a parent with a young kid who like their attention span is too short to pay attention to a whole game all the way through. Like this seems like a great value. $60 for 6 months, and you basically say, hey, go pick whatever game you want. But if you want to finish it, great. If not, we'll take it back and you can get another one. But like you let them pick one at a time. It seems probably great for something like that.
Oh yeah. I can only imagine the drama for the retail associate having to deal with some shit like, oh well, I lost the game, but my son really wants to get this one.
Oh no.
I love that this program makes the pre-owned games more pre-owned. Like they're now gonna circulate through all these people with Power Pass. Like you have no idea how many people might have had their hands on this game by the time you get it.
I mean that's crazy too, because like when you consider like GameStop's used price for like very recently released games is like $55. Like that's all fair game. Any used game is part of this plan, and you just keep it. So,
man, Family Video gotta watch out. GameStop is coming for the throat.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they've had enough of Family Video just eating away their bottom line, dude.
They're number one threat in the video game retail world is Family Video, but they took them out. All right, we're gonna go very
quick hits.
Sanic levels.
Speaking of
Sanic
quick,
ooh.
Oh, we've quick like Sanic.
Yes.
And all right, so Sonic Forces. We all know Sonic Mania came out earlier this year. Great game. And Sonic Forces is coming out for the newest 3D Sonic game. It's coming out at $40, pretty good price. And a demo actually released for the Switch, the PS4. I'm not sure if it's coming to PC. And it's free. You can download it. There are 3 different levels for you to play. But what's really interesting is that when you start a level, your timer starts at 60 seconds. And so 60 seconds into any level, the game will fade out, and it'll come up saying, thank you for playing, and boot you back to the title screen. Which,
what?
It's a really odd
kind of
method.
Idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well that's going to work for them, but yes, they really want you to just get a quick taste of that game. Just as quick as Sonic.
I mean, the game is about going fast, and so I guess the faster you go, the more of the demo you get to see.
Exactly. Yeah, people have been speedrunning it, and someone was actually able to reach the goal at the end, but only as the screen is fading out after the time expires.
That's pretty awesome.
So
Honestly,
they like
it's a smart marketing strategy because, again, like you're saying with the speedrunning thing, it encourages communities like that to look at it like a challenge. Like, how much of this game can I play?
Right. Yeah.
If they didn't do that, no one would care about the Sonic Forces demo.
Yeah, that is a great point.
Yeah. Ooh.
It's like smart just for that reason. Like this, we would never talk about this except that they did this thing.
Man, that is just the right amount of devious game marketing. I love it. All right, moving right along. This is some awesome news. So Sonic 3D Blast. So Sonic had kind of a rough entrance into like the 3D game like world. Sonic Adventure wasn't too good. Before that, he had Sonic 3D Blast, which was on the Genesis and the Saturn, and that game was ass. I don't care what anyone says. It controls like every level. You're on ice. But 21 years later, the founder of what was it, Traveler's Tales, like the studio behind the game, has announced that he is going to try and fix the game. He's talking about fixing the movement. He's making a director's cut version that fixes gameplay problems, adds new features, and he's like fixing the infamous slippery momentum, enabling a pre-existing hidden level editor, adding Supersonic, an in-game save system, and much more. And he's leaving it open to for people to give recommendations for what he should add to the game, which I think this is just a really badass.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Like he's going in and actually making like some real notable changes to it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's never too late, dude. 21 years later, coming back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah,
And,
like at that point, it's entirely passion based. You know, like
Yeah.
it's really cool seeing game devs do that. Like a similar thing, obviously not as an extreme of an example. I remember for New Vegas, the director Josh Sawyer went in and made a bunch of mods for the game to make it include uncut content, make like a bunch of bug fixes, change the game to be more like how he envisioned rather than how it ended up coming out.
Yeah,
like it's honestly great to see developers like that going in purely out of no benefit to themselves other than just like for the passion of knowing, hey, I want to make a better product for people. So 21 years might be a little late, but it's nice to see that he's dedicated enough to go in and make those changes for the better.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right, so let's quickly get through these new releases. We've got a lot of really good stuff coming out this week.
Let's be honest, there's only one that matters, KD.
That's right. That's right.
That's it. Either the first or the last one on this list are just incredible games.
Yeah, I can't wait for the last one, but yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, November 3rd, Call of Duty World War II is finally coming out, and
we finally get to experience a World War II game.
Yeah, there haven't been any. It's crazy.
Yeah. So for a while, I think. But yeah, Scott, you're talking about like you really wanted to pick this game up. Like
I do. Like again, I struggle because I talk about all this like fucking, I hate the industry. I hate all the shit that it's become. But then at the same time, it's like I'm also a sucker for shit like, hey man, we make Call of Duty like not about jetpacks again. And I played it and I was like, man, I kind of like the brainless running around killing shit that I want to do. So I don't know. A lot of people are like, I'm not going to buy this, and I totally understand. It'll probably be dead on PC within a month, but it's a fun kind of like turn off your brain shooter for me, and I like what I actually thought of the beta. That it was kind of like reminded me of like COD 4 and World at War and kind of old school Call of Duty. So
yeah, definitely.
I will be picking it up, but I can totally understand everybody being like, "Nah, fuck that." So, and it's Activision, of course, too. After we've been talking about all this stuff, so I totally understand people sitting out. But
that's another hour of the podcast we can throw on here, just talking about all the reasons not to, because of Activision, not to get invested in this game. But no,
oh yeah, I mean, I'm not invested. It's like the one thing when I do any of this stuff, it's like I totally I don't have any illusions. Like I totally understand what it is. Like, so that's the other thing is like I'm not like people are like I'm excited about this Call of Duty. I'm like I played it, it was fine. It was Call of Duty. It was exactly what I expected it to be. So I'm not going in with any kind of expectations. So that's the other thing.
Exactly.
So I know what I'm doing. I'm not saying it's smart, but I know what I'm doing.
You're in control of your own life, and that's.
I am.
You're a veteran of not getting too attached to video games that have burned you in the past.
Exactly. Yeah. This is. Yeah. I'm not there. So.
Right. All right. So next up is a game called Spin Tires Mud Runner. Which I don't know why
I think this is like this is their I think second game. The Spin Tire. This is like a sequel to Spin Tires. And I've never played it, but this is like I think one of the most interesting ideas for a game. Like the genre of this game is like you're literally just mudding. Like you're just in trucks and you're mudding in trucks, and it seems like it actually seems like it would be a really fun idea for a game.
Like an experiment. Yeah. The engine looks crazy actually watching this trailer.
And guess what, dude? Made by Saber Interactive, same team behind NBA Playgrounds.
Yeah. There's another game that definitely didn't disappoint me. It looks crazy watching all the physics and stuff. Like it really, I mean, it basically just said a physics playground, and I think that's kind of what they're going for. It looks pretty
it's
neat.
Got the online co-op, so there could be some fun in there with colliding into teammates, things like that. But
apparently if you own Spin Tires, you get 50% off the new game.
Ooh, nice little loyalty discount. But that comes out October 31st, just in time for Halloween. Even though it does not appear to be scary. Then again,
we don't know that. We don't know that. Okay.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, look at this banner here. You've got blood red sky, bright yellow moon, blood moon. Vampires, I'm calling it. All right, next up, Weeb game Lost Dimension coming out on Steam. Next game, Wanderlust is a VHS. It's like an exploration game. Looks like it's artsy. It looks great. Debut game from Eternity Studios. No price yet, but the soundtrack is 99 cents. Why not? October 30th. Looks fine. Next game, Usurper. Yeah, let me see. Usurper is Metroidvania. Looks like some decent pixel art. Looks fun. I'm as much as people want to hear me say, I threw this on here because it has Dark Souls stamina bar. That's simply not the case, buddy.
Yeah, everyone was accusing you of that, KD. I saw it in chat. How dare you?
Yeah, rabid people on Twitter just attacking me. Got access to the doc. Anyways, but yeah, this game looks fun. Nothing insane, but it comes out October 30th, 31st. I can't speak. Next up, game called Zwei, the Ilvard Insurrection. Now, I know you're thinking, this is, oh my god, KD throwing some weeb shit onto the dock. This is actually a port from, it came out in 2008 in Japan only. But hear me out. This is not just some weeb garbage.
Wait a minute. You were trying to like disprove that you had thrown weeb garbage on here?
No.
This is not only that, but it is vintage weeb garbage.
No. Let me finish. No. The order of my point making was wrong. But listen, what I'm trying to say is that this game is made by Nihon Falcom people. Okay. I'm talking great, authentic action. I'm talking amazing soundtracks. Same people that made the Yeast games. They made the Legend of Heroes games. This is going to be a banger of a game. No price yet, but October 31st.
Are those games you mentioned weeb games?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that's what I have no idea. So you're saying it's not that it's not weeb trash. It's that it's weeb. It's just not trash.
Yes. Gotcha. Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that you shouldn't write it off just because it's anime as fuck.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it should be a fun game. Finally, people, we saved the best for last. A game that we could only dream about. It's on Steam. I'm gonna read it as written. The name of the game is Pickle Rick. That's spelled PICCLERICC. It says, in Pickle Rick, you have to find weapons, healing supplies, and fight your way out from Forgotten Place, such this mystery dungeon. Of course, we've got the broken English. This game has been developed by Red Square Studios, the company that brought you Phil Cosby, Fidget Spinner Simulator, Vaping Simulator, and many other classics.
Oh my god!
It looks like absolute garbage. It's a 3D hack and slash where you play as a pickle. Looks like he's got some flesh and bone on his body and a robotic helmet. And its current features, it's listed out. It's got hands-on combat. It's got pickup system. It's got dungeon. It just says dungeon as a bullet point. That's it. Like features to come. It's going to have a co-op campaign, people. You can play this with your best friends. God, you can watch Rick and Morty and shout Pickle Rick. I'm Pickle Rick. As you know how when Batman Arkham Asylum came out, everyone's like, man, this game makes you feel like Batman. I can already see the reviews rolling in for Pickle Rick. This game makes you feel like Pickle Rick. Yeah.
So am I the one that's noticing that they misspelt their improper
I was just
spelling
about to say that. In one of their updates, they spell it pickle with a K. But then in their trailer they misspell it pickle with a K.
Oh yeah.
But then they decided that wasn't quite memey enough, so they went with the double C instead.
Oh my god, this thing's breaking so many copyright and trademark infringements. God damn.
Popular tags for this product: action, adventure, memes, psychological horror.
Last one seems pretty accurate.
It's also got nudity, Illuminati, and anime.
God damn it.
Oh, man. So, other than that, pretty solid week this week.
Very solid. I worry about what shows up on your personalized Steam feature page, AD.
Yeah.
You know what really is unfortunate is ever since I got that Sakura Humble Bundle, my recommendations have been fucked. I'm getting titty visual novels left and right.
Listen, you got what you deserve, okay, KD?
That might be true. Yeah. Also, speaking of Steam, Dead Space 1 and 2 are only $5 on sale right now, and you should absolutely pick those up.
Get it in memory of Visceral, at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. Dead Space 1, that's iconic. Dead Space 2 is a masterpiece. I'm done. Yeah. I'm not going to gush. Anyways. Okay. All right. So we got some viewer questions. I'm going to toss it to Popcorn Brandon. No. Popcorn APL?
Oh, okay.
You know
All
how
right.
popcorn works? You don't just get to
Yeah, you can't take it back.
Popcorn.
Yeah, you're right. I blew it.
Yeah. Brandon, go ahead. You were called.
Elementary school was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well,
not that
like
long.
a month
Closer for you than us.
I walked right into that one.
Well, our first question comes from podcast alum Hutchison15.
Yes, it does.
So it actually has an enlightening question, and
enlightening.
you know, we are close to Halloween, and this could be a scary question. He says, "Let's pretend for a sec any of you have point emoji, okay hand emoji." I think he's implying coitus.
Yes.
And he says, and eventually have children. So the implication here is we're having children.
Lots of implications. And
yes, many circumstances that are obviously only hypothetical. What's the one thing you hope they won't find out when Googling you?
It's a great question.
I want to know. I want to know Scott's answer here because Scott,
see,
when you Google Scott, like none of the results are suitable for someone under the age of 15.
That's what I was already. So for me, like this is going to be a real question. This is a real question that I'm going to be wrestling with for a long time.
Ticking time bomb on your internet life before you have a child who's capable of accessing the internet outside of your supervision. Exactly.
I've just kind of come to the conclusion that there are what's real. It's less. This question scares me because it's less me being able to point to certain things and more so just my entire existence on the internet, because people will routinely link me things that I have zero recollection of ever saying or ever and I'll be like, God, I said that, or I did that, or okay, I forgot about that entire. So it's more that for me, it's just everything, because I know that, but I'm not super worried about it because I'm just going to handle them as they come and be like, yeah, like you're, I don't even know. I haven't really formulated my response. I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to take it as it comes.
I think the benefit for you is that the benefit for you is there's so much of your content out there that she is going to be bored of it before she gets to anything really severe.
That's a good point.
Like I'm sure you've said regrettable things on this podcast, right? In 298 episodes.
Oh,
there's almost certainly things that should never be heard by a child.
Okay? But anybody for that matter.
But realistically, is your daughter ever going to listen to 298 and counting episodes?
I really hope not. I doubt it. And
she's going to listen to like 8. She's listening to this years from now. She's going to listen to years old gaming news.
Yeah, no, probably not. The only thing I'm worried about is like when it's going to be when I pass and like she's like, man, like my father has so many things documented online, and like let's say we get past a certain part where like she's like, wow, like overall, like I really liked his online presence and like what he did, and then she's gonna be like, maybe I should go back and like watch all of the Inbox episodes in their entirety, or maybe I should go back and like listen to all these, and that's when she's like, I'm gonna be gone, and she's gonna be like, my father was a fucking freak, what the hell? And so like they're gonna have to change my eulogy anyway and be like, wow, no, I'm kidding. Overall, I'm actually really not worried about any of that stuff, because like you said, there's such a breadth, like there's so many things out there, and at the end of the day, I just go, listen, I was playing a character, okay? And sometimes when you're playing a character, they say something. She's like, well, aren't you yourself on the KBMOD podcast? And it's like, okay, I was young and dumb. Okay, how about that? Or I was more immature.
The answer changes as you figure out she knows more.
Exactly. So it'll morph as it goes. But no, there's really nothing. The one positive thing is, like, I've never said anything that like I'm really terrified that would come up. That's like super like that. I've just said a lot of dumb things in my youth that didn't turn out to be true, but I think a lot of people do. It's just the difference is that it's all documented for me, whereas for a lot of other people, they have the fortune of not having that documented. So I don't know. I'll figure it out as it happens.
There's a lot of crude sexual humor, but probably not so many like offensive viewpoints. So it will be things that you're embarrassed of, but maybe not things you are ashamed of.
That's a much better way to put it. Exactly. That's how I feel about it. Where I'll be like, okay, yeah, I was very crass, and I still am, but I don't think that's necessarily going to change. I'm sure that's certainly going to have to edit myself to a certain extent, but certain things you're not gonna be able to get out of me. I just realized when I said the playing the character thing, I sound like Alex Jones, like defense, right? Remember when he was taken to court and like his kids got taken away, and he was like, literally in the deposition, he was like, "Well, I'm playing." The argument was he was playing a character for his viewers. It's like, yeah, he said it was gonna be my defense. Alex Jones, dude. It was, honey, it was just a character, right? That's I just like
great actor.
But anyway, yeah. So that's for me. So yeah, I'm really, and I'll keep you guys updated as that unfolds, because I got quite a few years before I got to worry about that though. So I'm trying to just worry about it when it comes. But what about you guys? Do you have anything on the internet that you're really, once kids happen, if you're ever gonna have kids, that you're like, I see, like Brandon, for you, I think you've kept it pretty. Obviously, with your job before Twitch, you were very careful. I feel like with you, it would be pretty much less so. Like unless you're doing some stuff, like unless you've been on some sites, some campsites that we don't know about.
Well, I mean, if you obviously don't use your real name on those sites.
Oh,
he's running the Silk Road.
Yeah.
What kind of amateur do you take me for? No, I mean, I don't think I really have anything that I would be like. I have made an effort, with having a really like a professional services job in the past. Been careful about what I put online, and because it does. A lot of people don't realize that the internet, at this point, the internet is very much written in pen. Like anything you do, very difficult to get rid of, and it will live forever. So, I don't think I have anything that embarrassing that they could Google about me. I mean, I guess the only thing I can think of is just like the YouTube videos, like those probably won't age well. So if they would see those years from now, I'm not sure I'd necessarily be proud of them, but they're not embarrassing. It's like I don't know. If anything, I'm actually glad some of that is captured, because I realized that a lot of like the games I played and stuff that I would want to share with my future children, I can't really share it with them. Like I can't go back and show them what Star Wars Galaxies was like, for instance. Like that game is gone. There is no for all intents and purposes, there's like maybe there's a bootleg server out there, but like by the time they're able to understand that stuff, most of the gaming experiences of my past aren't going to be available anymore. Like I can't tell them anything about it. So I'm actually kind of glad that I have some stuff out there. And I think for you, Scott, this is like the upside of the fact that like a lot of your life is lived online. That you have all of this, like for better or worse, all of this documentation of experiences that you went through over time, and you can share that with your future family. And like sometimes that may not be a thing you want to share, but at least like it's just easy documentation. Like instead of having home videos from your childhood, like you have videos you made when you were like 20 some years old, like early 20s.
True.
And so it's neat that in when your children are of age where you would want to like show them what you were into back in the day, your videos will be there. And maybe you save some of them for when they're maybe later in high school.
Yes,
but you do have that option. So I think that's kind of neat. I don't have anything I really regret online that I know of.
Okay. Ben, KD, anything?
Easily the dick videos. All the dick cartoons that I made when I was like 16. There's a reason I deleted that YouTube account.
Damn, those were great. Some of those, by the way.
I was gonna say you have an animated short of Scott talking about the cat thinking it's another cat. Like you have some very fine work out there.
There's some great ones, I think.
Some of those I'm still happy with. Like the KBMOD ones, I still think are good. But like the ones that went on my personal channel, I hated all of them at a later point. And like to an extent, most of like. Not like the team respawn videos. I liked all the ones I made for them, but like the Machinima respawn videos where it was like comment animations of like Snoop Dogg fucking Miley Cyrus and stuff. Oh god, like some of that stuff up. and I hate it because I can't request Machinima to take it down. They own it, but it's like I remember pitching a long time ago, being like, "Oh, let's make Twitter animations. It was successful on my channel. Let's do it over here." But they're like, "No, let's do comment animations. Let's go into the cesspool of YouTube comments and animate that." And I'm like, "Oh God." Like, I remember liking it back in the day, but I mean, certainly compared to what I make now, it's not something I want anyone to see.
Right. Okay.
There's still moments where I kind of want to reanimate the Team Respawn videos, though. Like, I remember the Games and No Games segment being one of my favorites, with the genie and stuff. Like, I remember, like, you know, back in the day, like, I really was not, like, even though I animated for like 7 years up at that point, you couldn't tell. Like, because my specialty back then was like stick figure animation. I was still transitioning into full body animation with characters, and you can tell, like, the drawings are all sloppy, barely any effort comparatively to what I make now. Put into the animation, like, I just didn't really know what I was doing that much back then. So, you know, if there's anything I don't want people seeing like 30 years down the line, it'd definitely be, you know, my personal dick videos and shit like that. Like, oh, I remember one of the videos was a dick snorting cocaine and then bleeding. Like, that was a whole video. It was like one of my most viewed video.
I mean, you don't want your future children to uncover your discovery as a young artist?
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, dude, I had to ground them just for looking at it. They're like, "Oh, you made it!" Like, I don't care. You're not allowed watching that. Oh, it's filth.
KD, what about?
KD.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of embarrassing stuff. I remember back in. It's tricky because, like, a lot of it is stuff that I don't think my kids would really mind seeing. Like, namely, the most embarrassing thing for me is, like, I think my first content on the internet was like back in like 2008. I was doing like Mario 64 machinima videos, and they were just they just weren't good at all. But I think they're all unlisted right now. But I mean, that's embarrassing for me. But I feel like if the kids saw Mario 64 videos, they wouldn't look at it with like a cynical, you know, way that we would, I guess. They would just see, oh, look, Mario. Like, they'd probably find it funny. So, there's probably, there's probably some shit I said on the podcast that is just like terrible.
I was going to say, when you Google KD Zen, we see your YouTube channel, your Twitter. We have a KBMOD YouTube video that's a Halloween story from KD Zen. So probably some of your finer work, I would say.
Yes.
And then I'm going to say, you got off easy here, because there is actually a KD Zen Inc., a completely unaffiliated service, as far as I know. Like, maybe you own this, maybe I'm doxing you right now and you own this business. But KD Zen Inc., their slogan is wisdom as a service.
Boom, babe. There it is.
So nice. if KD Zen Inc. blows up any more than they are right now, your Google results are going to be completely drowned out by this other business, and you will be in the clear.
Nice.
So that's really good to know.
Breaking Bad money laundering scheme if I've ever seen one.
Much. Man, I remember back like a long time ago, I would just Google KD Zen to see if anything would come up, and something came up where I remember I used to play the Conduit on the Wii, like multiplayer in that, and everyone in that game would hack. And I was playing a game with someone who was hacking, and apparently someone thought that I was hacking because there's like a website, there's like a blog post. All of these players are cheaters and hackers and Conduit. And I was like going through the list, and I see, oh my God, KD Zen 18.
Wow, dude.
I was like, what am I gonna do? Comment, be like, no, I'm not a hacker. Like,
oh no,
that's just what a hacker would say. So yeah, that'd probably be my most incriminating. Somebody saw that.
The cheating accusation you have to explain to your children years later.
Yeah.
Dang.
So Dad doesn't play fair. Okay.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, that was a great
juicy.
That was good. Yeah, great question. So 2 of us, Ben and I, yes. You 2, Brandon and KD, feeling pretty okay about your online presence.
Still got time to ruin that Google search history.
That's true. Yeah, there's still plenty of time. All right. It is finally time for the continuation of the KBMOD screenplay, by Love Muffin. We've been waiting on this. Final thing.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute. Katie Zen, take it away, dude.
All right, here we go. This has been a long time coming. I hope I can do it justice. All right, continuation of the KBMOD screenplay by Love Muffin. Trigger warning. This week's episode of the novelization of the KBMOD screenplay based on the novel Push by Sapphire. This is all terribly misspelled, by the way. A choose-your-own-adventure book/anime contains mild language and hashtag vapes. Thick. All right, I can't lose it on thick alone.
Yes.
Thick, juicy dubstep throbs forcefully in the air of the Walmart Pet Center as APL, Fisher, and Nick Fenton stand eye to eye in a battle for the ages. APL speaks. It's all you.
I sensed it was you and not another. Your memachlorians were strong. You were my brother.
Nick Fenton does not respond. Instead, he lifts his tiny hands and brandishes a fearsome-looking vape. Split seconds later, sick clouds of sweet, sticky ganj are inches away from enveloping APL in overwhelming dankness. APL triple flips to safety and throws up a protective shield of social awkwardness.
Oh my god.
Nick Fenton is unfazed. He inhales deeply, unleashing a massive vape golem in the shape of Lil B. Oh man. Protect Lil B at all costs.
Wow.
The vaporous monster pummels the shield until it begins to shatter. APL knows he can't sustain it much longer. Suddenly, the unconscious form of Papa Barndor begins to shudder. A surging cheesy cocoon of mac and cheese forms over his body.
Oh my god!
The cocoon hardens as quickly as it was formed. It explodes, revealing a nude and glorious Papa Barndor, reborn in his most powerful form. Papa Barndor leaps in the air and tokes the base golem in a single rip. He then unleashes on Nick Fenton.
Yo, I just came from a flea market, so I'm hype as heck. I'm the jet ski to your beaver. Better show me some respect. You took some pot shots and you made a mess, but you can't touch me because I'm hashtag blessed. Boy, you better stay low if you can't handle my disses. You don't strike me as someone capable of making exotic bread-based dishes.
Oh my god. Yes! Holy shit, incredible. Oh my.
Nick Fenton narrowly dodges the sick burn. He unleashes a one last thick cloud to cover his escape and disappears, probably not to return, redeeming himself in the third act climax. KD Zen carries the exhausted APL to Papa Barndor, and as the smoke clears, he observes, I'm really bummed Brad got eaten by a bear.
Wow.
Damn. Does the KBMOD Squad A go to the Oregon wilderness to rescue Brad? B, go to Bill Cosby's house? Or C, go to post-meme-apocalyptic Philadelphia? Love Muffin.
Holy shit, dude.
Oh man, that was so incredible. Good. The fucking cocoon of mac and cheese.
I mean, just so good. Like, this really, I want him to, we've talked about this before, but it would be so sick if Love Muffin, like, once the story is fully over, like, we get a book printed, like, someone does the actual, like, art for this and makes like a small little book we could get, because some of it might be a little bit too R-rated, but my god,
Ben,
dude.
I think I have your next animation project when you finish your game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And resurface all the dick content, my man.
Oh man, it's so good,
man. Incredible.
Thank you, Love Muffin. That was
yeah,
that'd be like the greatest picture book.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
I'd sell that in any bookstore, though. Oh my god.
No.
I dare say I think this chapter may have been some of his finest work.
It was. It was great. It was worth the wait.
Definitely.
So good. I mean, what do you think? What do you think we should do as far as the decision? I feel like going to post-meme apocalyptic Philadelphia is towards the end of the story. So I don't know if we want to do that yet.
I mean,
it's tricky because I know episode 300 is coming up.
True.
And I feel like what a way to what better place to end this saga than with the finale?
True.
Of our,
with 300.
Yeah.
Good point.
I don't know.
I feel like Bill Cosby's house is definitely a non-starter. I don't know if we want to do that. It's probably
yeah.
Especially not. I mean, not if if I'm naked, covered in mac and cheese.
Absolutely. Not good.
Oh man.
I guess we'd be leaving Brad behind if we didn't
That's
go.
the thing. We
true.
have the option to potentially rescue Brad, and
Right.
I feel like it's would the saga really be complete if we just left Brad behind?
Right.
That's true. Yeah. So let's do that one last side quest so we can get the true ending.
Yeah,
for this.
I'm with you.
So
That's
yeah, I
right.
vote A.
So I think we go to the Oregon wilderness to rescue Brad. If
We
that
can't leave
option's
him
on the
hanging.
table, we can't leave Brad behind.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, so we're gonna do A, Love Muffin. Go to the Oregon wilderness to rescue Brad. Thank you again. This has been great stuff.
Incredible.
Quality content.
Oh man,
Pretty
thank you.
incredible. So, all right, guys, this is where we would do the iTunes podcast review of the week. But yet again, we are reviewless. We are barren. We are without review.
Someone mentioned they had left a review, but I think perhaps I'm just hypothesizing here that perhaps their review was not
garbage,
maybe not very savory, and it was actually caught by the iTunes automated review process and didn't get posted. So I don't know. Maybe we have people leaving reviews, but they're like super edgy, and they're like maybe it's not quite fit for public consumption on iTunes. So
totally,
I feel like maybe we have leaned too hard into telling people they can express themselves. Look, we don't control what goes on iTunes. Like if Apple doesn't want you to express yourself, that's out of our hands. So
exactly.
I have to revise my guidance to say post whatever you want that is within iTunes terms of service.
Okay, true.
It will actually get posted.
So, keep it within iTunes review of service. Make sure you rate it 5 stars, which is another requirement. And then in the box, as long as it meets those 2 requirements, you can put virtually anything. You can leave an actual review. You can leave a rhyme. You can
as long
leave
as it doesn't offend the sensibilities of the ghost of Steve Jobs, you will.
Yes, you'll have a chance. And again, it's not a guarantee. If it's hot garbage, we might not read it. But if it's at all decent, we'll give it a look and possibly read it on the next episode. So yeah, just go to iTunes, log into your account and search for KBMOD, and you can do all that pretty easy, not hard to do. So before we end the episode, I want to again thanks Ben for coming on. Appreciate it, dude.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it was good. Again, look for his. I'm sure we'll be continuing to get updates and chatting again at some point. But Neon Town, tentatively February 2018. Correct. Just to reiterate.
I'm always posting updates to it on my Twitter account, not the Trenion account, because I mean, I don't know, that thing's dead. But I'm always posting like GIFs of it, and so if you guys want to keep updated, just follow me on Twitter at Ben Basic.
Cool.
Always posting gameplay, that sort of stuff.
Neat. All right, so there you go. So you can follow Ben, at Ben Basic. And before I run through the Twitters of everybody else on here, remember you can go to kbmod.com for build guides, forums, the occasional article and review, preview, video review, all that kind of stuff. Make the multi-stream as well. So definitely be using KBMod for those needs. Follow us on Twitter at KBMod Gaming. I am at APL Fisher. Katie Zen is at Katie Zen _ Brandon is at Volition, VOL1TION. And Nick Fenton is informing me that I should tell you guys to join the KBMod Destiny clan as well, which
right.
I don't know if that's
got to get to the next level.
Plan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We got to get to the next level. And so, like, each person can only contribute so much. So we need more people to level up quicker.
There you go.
Wow, is that a thing? Is there an actual KBMod official? You can do clans on them.
There you go. So join it. It's
open.
open.
I feel like
if you can't figure out how to join it, just hop in our Discord, kbmod.com/discord, and ask in there, and someone will toss you an invite.
All right. So there you go. This has been episode 298. Wow. Next week will be 299. And we're getting close to that 300. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Farewell.
Yatta!
Jesus.
That was a crispy one. Fast.